Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first episode of Walk-Off Sports Media's podcast. Today we're going to talk about, is Dak Prescott an MVP candidate? What's going on with Texas and Penn State football? Has this been one of the best Octobers for postseason baseball we've seen in a while? And so much more. Coming right up here on Walk-Off Sports Media. All right, welcome in, y'all. I'm your host, Chase Cross. I'm joined here by the Father of the Year, Kyle Yannicek. He's got great takes and a family plan. I'm also joined by Dylan Martinez with the best ball knowledge in the business, but he's lucky if he hits a fairway. And then we're also joined by Byron Robinson, who swings a big stick on and off the field. And let's get right into it. How's y'all, Byron? I know you're having a great week. Honestly, just kidding, because we know your Yankees got knocked out of the playoffs today. Just tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that, man?
Um, man, all I can say is it's just time for a change. I think Aaron Boone, he served his time here. I think that, you know, we seen the World Series run last year, and we seen what happens when you just don't have good leadership, in my opinion. And I think it's just time for a change. And that's really all I think about right now.
Well, I mean, at least you can be happy that your boy beat the allegations finally. I mean, had a
Yeah,
phenomenal postseason. I mean,
yeah.
if it wasn't for a historic effort by Vladdy, I mean, shoot, y'all would have been off to the ALCS. But Kyle, anything to add in on that?
Y'all should just be happy that y'all's teams did make the playoffs. Me and Dylan had a pretty lonely
I know.
October, no Astros, but it's been great to watch. These have been really good games, really good series. So it's been fun watching it without having like a hat in the ring, I would say.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard watch, I'm still a little salty at the umpires, for my Padres. That hurt a little bit. I mean, I've never seen a strike call, in that big of a moment that's 2 inches below the zone. Like, automated strike system can't come soon enough. But then, we also have had a lot of big football games this weekend. How about them Cowboys, Dylan?
We offense looking great. Javante Williams, I think he
Dak? I mean,
that
shoot.
MVP already. The talks have started.
Um,
George Pickens stepped up. Ryan Flournoy stepped up,
yep.
and the department,
Dog.
DD, he's a dog. But
Dog.
you help on defense. That's all. That's all we need.
I will say though they looked a lot better this week, and I know it's the Jets, but I thought we looked. I mean, outside of stopping Brees Hall until the very end of the game, I thought the defense looked pretty solid. So, anyways, we're gonna take a segue now into our NFL recap, and we're gonna start off with the 49ers versus the Rams. This is a great game on Thursday Night Football. Went into overtime. Mac Jones went off. Matthew Stafford went off. Um, Puka and Devontae Adams have been great for the Rams. Christian McCaffrey had a big game for the 49ers. Like to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Start with you, Dylan.
I think this was a choke job by the Rams. They had this one in the second and third, or really the second and third quarter, but they fumbled on the 1 yard line, I believe, with Kyron, and I think that's why Blake Corum has been taking his touches. Yes, in the previous years, Kyron has went off for a lot of touchdowns, but I don't know. Something about this year has been different. And Tay Adams and Puka, that's looking like the greatest wide receiver room duo in NFL history, and Matthew Stafford's putting up numbers. I like the Rams, but I don't know. The Niners, to me, is the fakest 4-1 team I've ever seen. I don't know. I don't see them win going forward, but who knows?
I'm really upset at Sean McVay right there. I'm all for coaches being ballsy, going for it on fourth down, but when the run game really hasn't been there, Kyron went for 65 yards on 14 attempts. When the
Which
run
isn't
game's not
bad.
there, yeah, it's not a good running room at all. Why don't you kick the field goal, tie the game? Your defense has been like okay. I got it right here. What's it called? Rams have only allowed 21.4 points per game throughout the season. It's been an okay defense. Why not trust them? I know the tie. We saw what happened with Dallas the other week with Green Bay, but you gotta go for the field goal there.
If you go for it, to me, I feel like you have to pass it. You got Puka and Devontae Adams; those are playmakers.
Exactly. Devontae is one of just the best go get it guys we've seen in a long time. Puka's been the wide receiver one this year. So
And Matthew, like the passing wasn't working. It was just I think if you go for it, you throw it. You don't run it.
Yeah.
What about you, Byron?
I gotta agree with y'all. I mean, like you said, Dylan, turnovers, that's always at the end of the day gonna kill a game and it's gonna kill a team's momentum. And like y'all said, you gotta pass it. I mean, Puka, Devontae, like you have to pass it. You have to put it in Matt Stafford's hands. And I mean, you just gotta know your personnel and know like what you're good at and what's going on and what's working that game. And obviously the passing game was working. And yeah, I just at the end of the day they got out coached at the end, and yeah, you just got to put it into your stars' hands. You can't always take the easy route or the most conventional route. Sometimes you just got to do what's been working, and trusting your
Yeah, but
guys.
let's not put all the
I,
blame here on, McVay. I know I kind of started the
I
blame
will
game.
say, I mean,
I mean, you
yeah,
gotta
Kyle,
give that Niners defense credit coming up with that big stand, fourth
Yeah.
down in overtime to win the game. Shout out Mac Jones, man. I love to see that. I love it.
That
yeah,
I
Yeah.
Mac Jones been playing phenomenal. I will say something about Sean McVay. You do have to realize, Kyle, like the point you made about them kicking the field goal. They did just have a game-winning kick get blocked the week before
Yeah, but
against the Eagles.
this
So,
year we've seen. I think they said through the 5 weeks, 26 block kicks, whether it's
I
punts,
mean,
field
it's
goals,
it
all
is
that.
not a layup unless you're Brandon Aubrey. It has not been a
I
layup
understand that,
this
but
year.
the percentage of kicking that field goal is much higher than, converting the fourth down on top of getting a couple more plays, then getting in the end zone. So I would have liked to see them kick it, but I do got to respect the ballsy move, though.
But before we move on, I want to give a quick shout out to. I mean, they drafted good. The 49ers, Michael Williams, and Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins had a great forced fumble in the red zone.
Hmm.
Michael Williams picked a fumble up. I mean, Alfred Collins, UT boy. I'm proud of him. I'm happy to see him ball out.
Hey, and Mac Jones revitalizing his career under this,
I
under these
loved
circumstances. I mean, I love to see it.
I
I mean,
loved
it's
the response. Did
phenomenal.
y'all see the response he gave after the game when they asked him like
Yeah,
he pretty much said like
that's
they
Brock's team
brought me
still, man. He's
here.
just trying to win.
Yeah, he said they brought me here as a backup. That's what I'm here to do. Brock's a great quarterback. I'm just here to back him up. Did our job. We're trying to win games. I respect that. Coming from a guy from
That
Trash,
being
I respect
said,
it.
I'm gonna add on that. It's almost like he's showing for another team next year. I mean, obviously he's got a talent to be a starter in this league. So somebody else from the Shanahan system, maybe Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, he could be a quarterback there that's maybe looked at to be the Vikings quarterback next year. So that leads us into our next game. Vikings versus Browns. We get to see a little vintage Carson Wentz action over in London. Dylan Gabriel makes his first start. Quishon Judkins just absolutely continues on his great tear. And then, Justin Jefferson back to back weeks looking like Justin Jefferson again. So, let's start off with Byron. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, it's easy to talk about the team that won, but really what I want to focus on is Dylan Gabriel. I think, he was 19 for 33, 190 yards, two touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he did exactly what he's been doing since he's been in college, getting the ball out quick, playing within the system, and just limiting turnovers. And I know everybody wants Shador to be the starter or wanted him to. I was a part of that crew too.
Heck,
But
me too,
I mean,
brother.
honestly, with Judkins and Njoku and with Gabriel, they didn't look that bad. Like
No,
they obviously it's the Browns. They're not gonna look great, but he looked a lot better than I thought he would, and he looked like a pro. He didn't look like he didn't belong. And I think that if he builds off of last week, even though they lost, if he builds off of his individual performance, he could be a good piece for them, and it could have ended up working out well. But
I
that's all I
agree.
really wanted to touch on.
Kyle?
I mean, it was good. I've never really had that much belief in Dylan Gabriel. Once he transferred from Oklahoma, went to Oregon. Every week I was kind of betting against him. So I got to give him credit where it's due. He played really good in his first start. Fell to, the Vikings are 3-2, but I think they're a little better than that. They've dealt with the injury. Had a couple dud weeks. But man, it's good to see Justin Jefferson finally like getting back into the swing of things. I know we struggled a little bit with JJ at first. What's up with these like I'm liking the backup. It's the year of the backup quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it is outside of the Bengals quarterback situation, it's really been the year of the backup. So,
It's been good to see. I love Love seeing Judkins do well. He's like been the what's it called? The workhorse in that backfield. Love to see it. Love
He's
to see
looked
it.
phenomenal. Dylan, you have anything else to add?
I just want to say, like, why does the NFL keep putting these bad games out in like London and Ireland? Why can't we get
Yeah.
why can't we get a game for a fun game to watch in London? Those fans shouldn't be that happy. Yeah, they get like an NFL game, but why can't they get like a Packers Cowboys game or Chiefs Ravens game or some game like that? But
Yeah. It would definitely grow the
Well, the
NFL
problem
in the
is they
foreign
have to,
places.
they're putting it on in the mornings where most people aren't going to be able to turn on their TVs and watch because they're either
Yeah,
at
that's
church or they're
true.
busy doing something. It's not a prime time game, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for the NFL monetarily to do that. But in terms of growing the game, most definitely should put some better teams out there. Like these matchups, like they're not rivalries. There's the engagement's going to be really low. And if you're really wanting to grow the game, bring some really good teams out there with some big names. Like why don't we see, like you said, Chiefs go out there, big name like Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Bring some of the talent out
I
there,
mean,
and we can really
are we
showcase the sport
discounting
to
the
the rest
talent
of
of
the world.
Jefferson or like what are we doing there?
No, 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 no question. I mean, he's talented, but I mean, it's the Browns.
I mean,
the
the week
Browns,
before, didn't we have the Steelers out there? I mean, they got to see
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is an all-time legend.
yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't like any of these elite games going on.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like
no
we can't
question.
say that they're not sending out the elite players out there.
They
Yeah,
are. I mean, every team's going to have an elite player, though. It's the NFL.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but moving on to the next game on the schedule, my favorite game of the week, probably Dylan's favorite game of the week too. If we're being honest, Cowboys look great, man. Dominated the Jets 37-22. And honestly, it was not that close as the scoreline indicates. 16 points scored in the fourth quarter by the Jets. The game was already well done and dusted. Dak Prescott throws for 4 touchdowns. Javonte Williams goes off for 135 yards and a touchdown. Surprise member on the stat sheet, Ryan Flournoy, goes for 114 yards. We do have to give credit. Justin Fields has again played clean football and played pretty well, honestly. It's just this Jets team is honestly pretty poor. But we'll kick it off here with Dylan. What do you think about the Cowboys, man?
I loved it. Like I said, the score doesn't tell you the actual story. It was actually an ass whooping. It was a blowout. In the second quarter, we scored that was capped off with Javonte Williams, like, what was a 66-yard run, 67-yard run, and then Ryan Flournoy coming stepping up for Turpin and CD being out. And Jake Ferguson, bro, what another touchdown. He's looking like a fantasy league
Five
winner.
and one right now.
Yeah, he's a beast, and I'm yeah, like uh, he's got to be in the MVP talks. Like statistics wise, yeah, our record is 2-2-1, but those numbers was like support his cause. and
100%.
and Brees Hall, it's not like I'm tired of pretending Brees Hall is not playing good. He's playing good. Every time Justin Fields and Brees Hall are playing together in fantasy, he gets 16 or higher points. He just hasn't scored a touchdown yet this season, but those are going to come. And the Jets might be one of the better 0-5 teams in history, in my
In
opinion.
history, I agree. That's a good football team that has played some good football. I mean, if you look, the first 2 weeks of the season, both could easily have been Jets wins. I mean, the game with the Steelers and the game with the Buccaneers. So, I mean, it's unfortunate to see that because I like Justin Fields and I think he's a good enough quarterback to play in the league, but they're just having a lot of unfortunate things go on. But maybe Aaron Glenn will get that turned around. Kyle, what did you think about this game?
I think that Cowboys offense all season has played exceptionally well outside of the Bears game, but I just don't think that offense can continue to bail out how bad that defense has played all season, especially when they start playing some of these better teams in the NFC. I don't know who they play this year, what their schedule's looking like for the AFC, what division they have to play, but I don't think the success really is going to follow through because of how poor that defense is. Defense wins championships. They're giving up, what's it called, 30.8 points per game. I know this kind of brought it up a little bit. Those were garbage time, 16 points at the end.
They allowed 6 points through three quarters this week,
Yes,
Kyle.
but that is
I
the,
just want
that is the
to make
Jets.
that
That is
known.
the
6 points
Jets.
through three quarters.
It is the Jets. I know they have good players. They have Brees. They have Garrett Wilson. But
Look at
against
what the
they
Jets have done over
against
the last couple
but
weeks.
against
Like,
against really good teams, I don't think the offense is going to be able to bail out this defense all season.
But the Eagles, week one, the Cowboys defense actually played pretty good. They didn't allow them to score that many points. It's just CD drop
No,
passes.
I agree. That was a game, but I think in
I mean, realistically,
general,
you're
you
looking at a
can't you
team that
can't
could be 4-1 right now.
but you can't look at me and tell me that like you truly think that this defense is good enough to not put as much pressure on the offense. And Dak's a vet. Dak can handle it. I just 30 points per game, no matter who you're playing, it really is. It's crazy. As an NFL defense,
I
you can
agree.
do that.
I agree, but I think it ultimately comes down to Matt Eberflus's blitz rate. He is known to be the least amount of like blitzes in NFL history as
You've
a
got to
head.
manufacture some pressure.
Exactly. We gotta get pressure. I mean, our run defense actually has improved, believe it or not, from the last year or two. But
Kenny Clark, shout out.
yeah, it's just our secondary and linebackers.
And I
Crap.
think as health returns to this roster, I think they'll be fine. But Byron, you want to add in anything else to this game?
I mean, yeah, I'm with Kyle. Honestly, I don't think that. I mean, not. I don't think. I think that defense wins championships. It's been a thing since football has been created. Any sport, really, defense wins championships. And I mean, you can easily say like, yes, Dak is playing great. The offense looks good, but at the end of the day, 30 points a game, like Kyle said, that's a lot. And when you play these high-powered offenses, and when you play teams that understand how bad their defense has been, and then on top of that, they actually have a defense themselves, it's going to be more difficult. And another thing I can say is it looks extremely weird to have 2-2-1 in an NFL team's record.
No
I
kidding,
mean,
bro. Let's get rid of
that is
ties. Come on, Roger
extreme.
Goodell. Get rid of
That
ties.
is extremely weird. But other than that, when I was looking into all this, scores into the games, and I seen that the Jets were 0-5. Like obviously, I watched it, but it didn't feel like they were 0-5, and that's kind of like the
Agreed.
first thing I said was like, I mean, I knew they were 0-5, but it never felt like they were. And credit to Fields. I mean, I think he looks solid, and I think that is something that not many people knew what was going to happen with him, and what to expect from him. And obviously, Brees looks good, and Garrett Wilson getting that touchdown and almost 30 yards or 29 yards short of 100. I mean, the Jets are, like you said, I think it was Dylan who said they look like the best 0-5 team I've ever seen in my 20 years of life. So
Real
Agreed.
other than
quick
that,
before we move on, I do want to say this Cowboys team kind of reminds me of last year's Bengals. High-powered offense. Joe Burrow has an MVP caliber year. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown having a good year. But whenever a defense can't keep up, you can't beat these really good teams. So that's the last thing I have to say on it.
that's
I'm
not
gonna
a
disagree
that's not
with
a
you
crazy
on
take.
that one. I will. I mean, you can make those claims because yes, the defense has not been great, but it's really been a secondary issue. And if they play the way they played against the Jets, I know it's the Jets, but it's not a poor offense. Justin Fields has played well and played efficient. They put up points against other teams that have good defenses. And the Cowboys are a couple plays away from being 4-1. Like if we're being completely honest here, and we wouldn't be having these
I
conversations
want you to
about the
when we
defense.
get on
So,
later, I want you to remember what you just said. Just remember that.
Well,
I'll put it in context
But
later.
all
I
right,
somewhat
perfect.
agree,
All right, what did you gonna
but
say?
I somewhat agree with Kyle's saying. But only reason that separates us from that Bengals team is that we have people like Overshawn coming back. That is
Mm-hmm.
different. And then we
Difference
got
maker.
rookie, and we don't know what he's capable of. He great seasons at East Carolina, but
Yep.
I don't know. I think you got to give us a little bit more credit than that Bengals notorious worst defense in NFL history.
I agree, but
Agreed.
that their
Well,
offense.
moving
Yeah.
on. Let's move on. Broncos versus Eagles. It's kind of a surprising game this week. What a comeback from the Broncos. I mean, they came back from the dead, being down 14 points heading into the fourth quarter. And Jalen Hurts actually had a pretty good game passing. Give credit to the Broncos in that. I mean, that was a pretty good comeback, especially in Philadelphia. What are y'all guys' thoughts?
18 unanswered points is just that's unbelievable. We were just talking about Sirianni the other week, offensive genius. 18 unanswered points cannot happen if you're going to win any kind of football games. Whether you have a lead that's 20 points, whether you had a 14-point lead going into the fourth, that cannot happen. I don't know if it seemed like they were just trying to make a point almost. Jalen threw the ball a lot that game. I see Saquon only had 6 rushes. That can never happen again. Ever. Never that can happen again. But the Black Magic finally wore off. They beat the Rams a couple weeks ago on that block kick. So
That's what I want to say. Like, we talked about this the last 2 weeks. That when is this magic going to wear off? The last 3 wins they've had, they all come up on crazy stuff that doesn't normally happen. But yeah, Jalen Hurts threw the ball more. But I watched someone like the AJ Brown missed throws. Those missed throws are bad. And I don't know, bro. It's like, I love AJ Brown. I hate the Eagles, but I've loved him on Tennessee, Ole Miss. I loved him. He's a great route runner. He's a Mr. Go Get It. He's physical. I want to see what he does this offseason if he wants to get out of there. But like you said, 18 unanswered can never happen in football or any
Never
sport.
happen.
Yeah. The highlight for me was, just seeing, Dobbins 20 attempts and Barkley 6, like Kyle said, it can never happen. And it'd be different if they, tried to incorporate him in the passing game or something like that. And he did have a receiving TD, but he only had 3 receptions. So, like you said, Kyle,
he's a top 5 player in this league, and you said five passing targets.
I don't know about targets, but I know he had 3 receptions.
3 receptions, 6 attempts.
Three receptions.
You
3
got
targets.
you got him involved in that game 10 times, and he's the best player on that field. Broncos, Eagles, best player on that field, no doubt. That can't happen. I can't believe that.
Yeah,
I can't believe
at
that.
all.
He's
Yeah,
had a
you
really
can't-
slow start to the season.
Still, I don't
too.
care. You put the ball in his hands.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they've got to find
You
ways
know,
to get Saquon going
Yeah.
because that's what made
Yeah.
their run last year.
You got to put.
If you
Yeah, you just can't. You just can't let that guy not touch the ball.
100%.
I know it's frustrating for him, especially to lose like that, but also just and honestly, the defense has to be better. 18 unanswered points is it's unacceptable. Defense wins championships, and you can't be a 4-0 team and let
Give up 18 in the fourth.
and let a 2-2 team give up or score 18 in the fourth quarter.
Agreed. Well, moving on now, we're going to talk about Kyle's favorite game of the week. Oh, man. I know you're feeling good after this one.
It was great.
Texans trounced the Ravens 44-10. Of course, we're going to go to you, Kyle. Give us your thoughts. Give us your inside takes. Let's hear what you got.
I've been saying this about every team all year. Injuries can never be an excuse. The Texans are kind of injured. Mixon's hurt. That's part of the game. Same thing has to go for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson doesn't stop them from scoring 44 points. Maybe they score a little bit more on offense for the Ravens. Cooper Rush had a horrible game. I believe it was 3 interceptions, 2 for Jalen Petrie, 1 for Kamari Lassiter. Derrick Henry, nothing. Outside of that 1 touchdown, which was on the goal line, it was awesome. It was good to see my boy Xavier Hutchinson getting his first 2 NFL touchdowns. Jalen Noel getting
Ray
his
Lewis
first.
celebration.
Yeah. Man, Jair needs to get out of here with that, man. You don't got to grab the ball. Go tell him something, give him a little shove. But grabbing the ball, that just seems like such a baby move. And I've always thought that from Jair. I've never really thought any of the stuff he does is cool or funny. I'm Jair's biggest hater, especially after that.
all right, are you Jair's biggest hater or the Texans' biggest dick rider?
A little bit of both.
That's a good
A little bit of both.
question.
Hey,
We have to put
good,
that.
good.
Give us
CJ,
y'all's answers
y'all
in the
talked
chat.
about-
Is he Jair Alexander's biggest hater or is he the Texans' biggest lover?
I just feel like
to hear y'all's
he always has something to say, and I hate it. But I don't hate seeing CJ throw for 4 touchdowns. He had as many touchdowns as he had incomplete passes, and that's been his biggest problem this year. Is kind of the accuracy. The pressure doesn't help with the accuracy. O-line held up really well, even though that Ravens D-line was kind of injured and banged up. But definitely improvements made over the last 2 weeks. 5 points per game allowed. That's that's awesome. I mean, defense wins championships. They're going to need a little bit of help from that offense the rest of the year. So just need to see CJ be a little more consistent.
There's some points I want to make in this game. I'm gonna start hyping y'all up, hyping the Texans up. Anytime you can put 44, no matter who's on the field, that's a
The
win.
NFL.
And as long as you can put your backup quarterback in a winning situation, that's a win in the week, regardless of what's going on. Nick Chubb, 11 attempts, 61 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm kind of disappointed that Woody Marks didn't get more involved. But yeah, you score 44, but half the defense is out for Baltimore. But like I said, anytime you can put 44 and get your backup quarterback in there, that's good. Hopefully, this is a spark for y'all's offense because y'all very much need it. But like,
I mean,
when I
70 points for the last 2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
definitely a spark.
Real quick
So,
before y'all continue to pitch in, I do just kind of want to make a point. Y'all said the Cowboys were a couple plays away from being 4-1. The Texans were 3 plays away from being 5-0. Still not an excuse. We're a 2-3 team. To be great in the NFL, you have to beat teams on the margins. Those 2 fumbles in the red zone in week 1 and week 3 against the Rams and Jaguars really hurt. And then Henry To'oTo'o's missed tackle on Baker Mayfield to seal the game on 4th down. But marginally, we have to be better. We have been better these last 2 weeks, so I'm just hoping everything kind of keeps going in
weaker
this.
competition, but
I mean,
Yeah,
you said it earlier. Doesn't matter who you play. It's
yep,
as long as you
it's
do
the
it.
NFL.
I want to ask y'all a question though. Like, Derrick Henry has been struggling. Do y'all think he's gonna wake up, or you think?
I do.
course.
Is Derrick Henry? He's not.
Yeah, I think so.
People say it about like Justin Verlander, how he kind of ages like fine wine. I feel like Derrick Henry kind of gets better and better every season. I don't think he's
As the
slowing
season
down
goes
yet.
on.
I think Lamar being out hurts him a little bit, because Lamar obviously has
Yeah.
the run threat.
For sure.
Some of the O line being out. It's just hard whenever they didn't really have any other weapons really working. Like Zay wasn't working this week, Andrews did okay, but whenever the Texans defense main focus is on Derrick Henry, it's easier to stop him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we've all been in locker rooms where the morale is down, and when the morale is down, and when you already feel like you lost before the game even starts, it's hard to get going, especially as a running back, because you're so dependent on those O linemen, you're so dependent on receivers to block, you're so dependent on just the quarterback to do his job of throwing the ball, so they can't load the box and they actually feel like the whole team is a threat. And right now, I mean, frankly, the only threat on that Ravens team is Derrick Henry, and
Yep.
it's obviously a focus for everybody to stop him, and that's what they did.
Yep, I agree. Moving on. Colts dominate the Raiders. We don't have to spend too much time on this game. I will say Geno Smith has looked terrible for the Raiders. Ashton Genty's looked a little bit better the last couple weeks, starting to find his form in the NFL. But how about the Colts?
Dude,
Jonathan Taylor,
I mean, he's
not great yards per carry, but 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones looking great again. Tyler Warren, 4 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Looking like one of the best rookie players this year. I mean, this is a good Colts team. I mean, the AFC South, if the Texans start winning a couple games, that's a 3-team race right there, and that's a very good division.
yeah.
So it could get very interesting down the stretch with the Jaguars being 4-1 and the Colts being 4-1. So that could be one of the surprises of the year, being the AFC South being so
I mean,
good. So,
Jonathan Taylor's really playing his way into the offensive player of the year so far. I would say up there with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, Jonathan Taylor. Those are the 3 top guys. I mean, he's had 2 3-touchdown games. He has
already.
right here 7 total touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great season so far.
I
Agreed.
think a little inflated, personally, because those 6 touchdowns came with those 2 games. He had the 2-3
Yeah.
touchdown games.
Those are the
Only
only
one.
rushing touchdowns he has this year,
Yeah.
right?
That's surprising me. Is like, it worries me a little bit, but it just tells me that if the Colts offense can keep getting in the red zone, he's gonna get in there regardless.
And like Chase said,
Mhm.
Tyler Warren is making such a huge impact on that offense. Really opens things up for guys like Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. I know A.D. Mitchell hasn't done too much this year, but Tyler Warren, that's a great draft pick. I think they picked him, 14, something like that.
Yep.
Great pick.
Second tight end.
Yeah.
But the Colts defense looked better than I thought they would coming into this year, and it's surprising me. And I'm happy though because
Yep.
it great football going on in the AFC South.
Yeah, that's all I really have to add to it. It's just like I'm just glad it's good football. It's been years of just the Colts and Texans. I mean, me and Chase went to a game. I can't remember 2 years ago, I think,
Yep,
where
2 years ago.
it was straight field goals,
It was
and just to look,
terrible.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was it was one
it
of
was
the
a
worst
hard
NFL
watch. I mean,
games
that
I've
was
ever
the
been to.
Davis Mills era.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
it
that
was
was
one of the
Philip
worst
Rivers
football
in
games I've
in
ever been to.
Indianapolis. So tough times.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to see how far this division has came, it's great. And yeah, man, I'm not gonna touch too much on it. It's 40-6. I mean, the box score shows what happened in the game, and I mean,
Yep,
Raiders just got to be better.
hundred
That's
percent.
all it is. Got to compete.
Pete Carroll's got to figure it out, but I do think there's some pieces missing on that team that they're gonna obviously have to address in free agency in the draft. But moving on,
Got to get in the end zone though.
moving on. What a comeback for the Panthers! I mean, Mike McDaniel. I mean, he might be the first coach fired this season. Unfortunately, I love the guy. I think he'll probably end up getting a coordinator job and be really successful. But man, I mean, you got to win close games like this, especially in the situation they were in. Shout out Rico Dowdle, former Cowboy, 206 yards and a touchdown, went absolutely nuclear. Bryce Young had a pretty solid game. Tua played well too. Jalen Waddle played well. It's just unfortunate, man. How are these Dolphins still losing games? Like they're inventing new ways to lose.
Just, that defense is trash. That's all. What
Mm-hmm.
defense is garbage. But like you said about the Mike McDaniel firing, A Chain. But like A Chain to me is the best player on that field, and he only had 10 attempts. He did have a receiving touchdown. They got him involved on that side. But Jalen Waddle showed that he can like shine without Tyreek. And if you have him in fantasy, you got to be happy. But Ted McMillan, him and Egbuka are offensive rookie of the years in my opinion. Not even.
Mm-hmm.
My one issue with how the Panthers are using Ted McMillan, a lot of these targets are coming really early in the game. They're not getting him involved like late in the games. I see it. I see he has 12 points at halftime in fantasy, and then it doesn't really move up from there. He's their number one guy on offense with Rico, Chuba. Ted's the number one guy on that team. You got to get him a little more involved. They've been playing a lot of close games, and then they had that blowout mixed in against the Falcons. This
Yeah.
team isn't as bad as we all kind of thought, especially if Bryce starts playing a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the main focus is Bryce. He has to live up to that hype, and he has to
Mm-hmm.
show some. I mean, it's a solid game. He had the interception, which is obviously turnovers aren't great, but I think that he just really needs that. He needs that CJ Stroud 4 touchdown game, and to touch on the Dolphins, and I think this is just a common theme that we've seen this week is the fourth quarter. You really have to finish. You can't
Mm-hmm.
go into you can't go into the last quarter and take your foot off the gas because this is what happens in the National Football League. Like, I mean, you give a guy 206 yards. I mean, you can't expect to win that game. And the fact that it was close when he had 206 yards obviously means the offense is keeping you in it, but you have to, really bear down in that fourth quarter and, reward the offense for how good they played.
And touching on that, I mean, Rico Dowdle, we watched him all season last year, and he showed promise in some games, but not 23 attempts for 206 yards promise. So you got to look at the defense of the Dolphins and kind of ask a lot of questions. I think everything's being asked of the Dolphins right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McDaniel gets fired in the next couple weeks, which I hate it for the guy, but it looks like he's lost the locker room. And they're in a lot of hurt after looking pretty promising a couple years ago. I think they've kind of missed their championship window now, and they're gonna have to rebuild again. So moving on to the next game, we got a battle of two pretty poor teams. Spencer Rattler actually has looked solid this season. Played pretty well against the Giants. Rashid Shaheed had a good game. Olave had a good game as well. Jackson Dart was okay. Scatterby was okay. Not really too many things to really say about the Giants. Honestly, I think they have a good defense, but outside of that, I mean, this is
Well,
both teams are a
the
1-4
neighbors
football
injury,
team, so
the neighbors injury really
really
changed
hurt
the
them.
entire aspect. You had your star playmaker, you had Scatterboo, Jackson Dart, everything was going good, vibes were good. But I do want to get into something about the Saints real quick. They remind me a little bit of that 2022 Texans team, the one that was led by Davis Mills, just playing a lot of really close football games. It feels like they're really close, just missing a couple pieces. Is Spencer the guy that's going to be going forward, getting them wins? I'm not sure. Maybe they look to upgrade in the draft, but just a mixture of that defense and offense. You still have good pieces. It'll be interesting to see if maybe Kamara gets moved. Olave has looked a lot better this season, staying healthy without those Derek Carr
Yes.
hospital balls.
Concussions.
Yeah, so I'm not as low on the Saints as maybe their record says. They're playing a lot of close football games, and that's all you can ask for.
Agreed.
The margins are really close. Just gotta outplay the other team.
And
That's
Jackson Dart with his 2 interceptions, I think he kind of showed some rookie moments this game, but that's to be expected. And like you said, Kyle, I do believe the Saints have pieces that are solid. I mean, but honestly, is there a quarterback in this year's draft that is going to be better than Spencer Rattler? Like maybe we could say Ty Simpson, but is there like an alpha quarterback that's really emerged in college football this season? That
Not
kind of remains to be
not
seen.
yet, and we
But
really haven't seen one since Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ. We haven't seen
how
it.
about that class? They're looking really
Yeah.
good. But moving over to Byron, what do you think about this game?
I think it was just a battle of the really bad. I mean, you know, for the Giants, sorry, for the Giants. I mean, you putting your offense in the hand of two really young dudes, and they both show rookie moments, and it just happens. And they obviously, like Kyle said, without neighbors, it changes the whole dynamic of that offense, and it really, like I said, it puts the pressure on two young guys, and I think Rattler played all right. I don't know if he is the guy. I don't, that that's up to them. I personally don't think there is a quarterback coming into this next draft that is going to be the savior for the Saints. I think that they this win is good for them, and I like the fact that a lot of these bad teams or bad record teams are playing close games because it makes it more exciting. Because it almost reminds me more of like college, college sports in general, where a bad team can go in on a bad night for a good team and win. And I think that the Saints team has that, and we've seen the Giants team or the Giants had that last week. So, or not last week, the week before last. So,
Mm-hmm.
I
With the
mean, I
Chargers.
just think it wasn't a very, cool game to watch, but you know,
Agreed.
it was football.
It's football. So moving right along, we're gonna get into a great game. Talk about two guys, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, who a couple years ago, I mean, we would have said their careers are almost finished. Baker Mayfield getting cut by the Panthers. Sam Darnold hadn't really had any
Well, they
success.
were
Both
both on
guys that
that
have been,
Panthers team, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
they've had to reinvent themselves. Baker Mayfield has looked like an MVP candidate, and Sam Darnold, 341, 4 touchdowns. I mean, high scoring game. But like we've said, this whole year, Baker has been finding ways to win games at the end of the games. In the fourth quarter, like Byron said all today, when it's gut check time, Baker Mayfield has come through. And how about Emeka Ibuka? I mean, that guy is a star, a bona fide star.
Absolutely. I
So,
mean, he's putting up numbers similar to what we saw. Remember a couple years ago, Puka's rookie year, 23? He's
hmm
putting up
and
numbers.
Jamar Chase's rookie
Yeah,
year
he's
too.
putting Jefferson, all those guys. He's putting up
Yep,
numbers very similar. I love it. I got him in a couple leagues, and he's going off. He's doing his thing. I think this continues even whenever Mike Evans and Chris Godwin comes back. I think he's working his way up to be the alpha in that offense right now.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Dylan.
you go ahead.
Okay. I I mean, I'll touch on to Baker later when we give our picks for this week. But really I just want to say I don't even know how many years it's been, but I'm gonna say what the last 5 years for Ohio State receivers. I
Heck
mean,
yeah.
they are elite. I don't know the ins and outs of their program in terms of what they do with their receiving room,
It's a
but
factory, man. That's wide
yeah,
receiver you.
whatever they do. I mean, if I'm a 5-star recruit and I'm playing receiver, if I'm playing receiver or DB, I'm going to Ohio State.
Yep.
And honestly, if I'm playing quarterback, I'm going there too because I get to throw to these
Yeah.
guys and I get to
Yep.
play against some of the best DBs in the country. But yeah, I mean, Emeka, he's fun to watch. JSN, he's been fun to watch for a couple years now. And yeah, I'll touch on Baker
Get to
when
the
we give our
picks.
picks for this week. Yeah.
Got anything to add, Dylan?
I just want to talk about Rasheed White stepping in for Bucky, the touchdown game, and those 14 attempts, 41 yards. But he gets included in the receiving part. And I don't know, this Buccaneers team is very fun to watch. It's a very promising team. I'll say that, and a very youthful team in the key spots they need him in. And I don't know, this team's
And
electric.
they're 4 and
Agree.
1. And look at how many injuries they dealt
Yeah.
with, dude. You don't have your 2 top wide receivers. You don't have your star running back. This team's scary. I like it.
Very scary. But I will say one thing, Kyle. This team is a completely offensive heavy unit. They're completely relying on their offense. And you look at if Baker doesn't make a couple plays and some of those wide receivers don't make their couple plays, they could be potentially a 2-3 team or a 1-4 team. So this defense, I think it's almost not as bad, obviously, as the Cowboys situation, but it's very reminiscent of that, where we've got two quarterbacks really elevating the rosters around them, and they've got some key pieces that are making some big time plays for them. But I completely agree. This Buccaneers team is awesome to watch, and I love it for Baker and for his mentality and what he's had to go through. It's fantastic. Sam Darnold, same thing. I mean, I got to give props to both of those guys. They've really had a hard run of it, but they're going to be established stars in the NFL for a long time. So moving on, Titans Cardinals. We got a lot of drama in this game. This is the game that Arizona really should have won. They absolutely blew this game. Their head coach Jonathan Gannon blowing up on the sideline, putting his hands on DeMercado, which I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on, obviously, and then giving up 16 points in the fourth quarter. Just absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable second half from the Cardinals. Just absolutely, they could have been a 3-2 team. Now they're ending up 2-3, almost kissing their playoff chances goodbye in that division with the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. So let's get into it. I'll start with you, Kyle.
I'm going to start off with DeMercado. I looked back at it. He was in. That's a touchdown. Ball crossed the line. He had possession. He threw it out. But when are these players going to stop doing that, man? Like, I think,
Too many times.
the celebration.
Saw Eddie Mitchell do it last
I
week.
love the celebrations, right? Like, celebrations are awesome, great. They're fun to watch. Amon-Ra, Jameer. But I think, like, all it takes is one coach to say, hey, you know what? Love the celebration, but you're not allowed to celebrate until you find a referee, give him the ball, see him going like this, and we won't have this happening again. I can't believe it. But going on to Jonathan Gannon, I don't think it was as big of a deal as, what people think. I think it was supposed to be more of like, hey, like, what the heck, man? Like, but he's not a UFC fighter, He's not as accurate with his hands. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It definitely needed to be
I
fined.
agree.
But it's not like, he's going to lose the locker room. He didn't straight up punch his running back.
I want to talk about Cam Ward got fed his first win, and they didn't deserve it. You talking about he threw a pick in the fourth quarter that bounced off two people's hands. Then guy rolls over and fumbles it, kicks it in the end zone, and Calvin really lays on the ball. To a point, Calvin really finally had a good game this year in 5 receptions, 31 yards. I was wondering when he was going to wake up. But the DeMercado, I was at Kyle's house. I put a $2 touchdown bet, and it was for a $127 win. DeMercado was my last leg to hit, and he fumbles it, and I thought it was a touchdown this whole time. And so NFL needs to pay me that 127.
Yeah, bad beats. Talk about a bad beat, man. That is brutal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
auto situation, these are grown men. if DeMarcado would have pushed him, I would have had no issue with that. If he would have went in his face and started talking, I'll have no issue with that. These are grown men at the end of the day, and it's emotions. The game is it's a game of emotions, and it got the best of him. And definitely didn't deserve to be fired, but definitely fine.
Byron?
Yeah,
Was he
I
fired?
think
I didn't see that. Was he?
No, he was not
Okay,
fired.
yeah.
He
I
said
was
he
about to
doesn't
say.
deserve to be
Okay,
fired.
I didn't hear that
Yeah.
right. My fault.
yeah. Yeah, I thought he said he was
Yeah.
fired too. That's what I was going to get into. But I think I've been saying it this whole time, fourth quarters, and for the Cardinals it was just second half in general. Championship teams, good teams, average teams, they finish the games, and you can't score 21 in the first half and then get shut out by a Titans team, and then on top of that give up 16 in the fourth quarter. And obviously the fumble, touchdown, whatever, crazy. The win was not deserved, like Dylan said. And in terms of the coaching situation, like Dylan said, these are grown men. I feel like if it was college and he put his hands on a player, it'd be a little different circumstances. But at the end of the day, these guys all have families. They all have, kids are all some sort of fathers, or father figures to somebody, or they're just adults in general. So I think that these type of things can be handled in a more mature and, just more mature way. And honestly, I think it could have just been handled in the locker room, the fine, because it was on TV, whatever. But, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they probably already talked it out and they probably already,
On to the next
did
week.
whatever they had to do. Yeah. Because at the end of
Yep.
the day, they got to go win football games.
Yep. Got to finish games. Moving on. Lions absolutely dominate the Bengals. Box score doesn't do it justice for what the game really was. 3 fourth quarter touchdowns for the Bengals. They inflated Jamar Chase's numbers a little bit. Absolute domination by the Lions. This game wasn't even close towards the end. Um, Bengals did end up trading for Joe Flacco. So, what does that mean for Browning going forward? We don't know. Is Flacco going to be the backup? Is he going to come in and start? That also does mean that Shadur Sanders does have an opportunity to either be the backup to Dillian Gabriel or the Browns can bring in somebody else. So we'll obviously see how that situation plays itself out, but Lions are a damn good football team. They are a really good football team after losing both coordinators and the first game of the season. Obviously, we didn't know how they were going to look, but man, they have over these last 4 weeks have really shown us how talented of a roster they still have. Montgomery, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Jared Goff, Sam Laporta. I mean, that offense is really good. Defense has played well too. Aiden Hutchinson. So, you know what? Got to give props to the Lions here. We don't have to spend too much time talking about this game because it's an absolute domination, but of course, I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah. I think I want to ask this because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Gibbs has been leading in attempts pretty much
Mm-hmm.
every game before this, right? Yeah,
Yep.
okay. So I'm glad to see Montgomery, get that because I think Gibbs had 12 attempts this game, and
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery took six more with 18. So I'm glad that they're going back to trying to even it out in terms of attempts because it's easy to when you have two talented dudes to lose one of them if you start favoring one over the other because they're going to need both of these guys towards the end of the season.
Of course.
And really the only thing I want to like harp on, I guess, is the fourth quarter, the 21 points. I think, the Lions want to be, the team that people think they can be and, really, push for a
Finish
championship.
games.
I think they need to, like, when you're dominating a team like this, you need to completely dominate them. You can't let the box score look a little bit closer because something gave up. They took something off the pedal. And it's just, you can't do that, especially with a team with, Browning at quarterback. You can't take the gas off the pedal and or the pedal, whatever I'm trying to
Yeah.
Foot
say.
off the
And
gas.
yeah, foot off the gas. There you go. And you just got to dominate teams like this, and that's really the only thing that I got out of this game.
I would say the Lions do a much better job at, feeding all the mouths in their system compared to what the Eagles do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pick your poison right now with Sonic and Knuckles, Jameer and Montgomery. They got two amazing receivers, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Sam Laporta. I really like that team. They look really good. But to the Jake Browning situation, it's done. It's over. NFL
You
fans have
think
seen
Flacco
enough.
comes in and
Yeah,
starts the next game?
Yeah, I
absolutely.
forgot to touch on that.
Absolutely. I think you got to give him a shot because, like, Jake Browning is not working out. I think they started 2-0, correct? Under Burrow?
Yes.
Yeah,
They started 2-0, 0-3 under Browning. I've seen enough. I'm sure Bengals fans have seen enough. Let Flacco go in there, see what he can do with these talented weapons like Jamar, T. Higgins, Gesicki. Uh, it's done.
Yep.
I was down earlier today that Flacco was going to start this next week's game, but I'm just so disappointed in Chase Brown and how they're using him. And I'm disappointed in the whole Bengals team and organization in general. When you start the year 2-0, regardless of your backup quarterback, I mean, being a Cowboys fan, backup quarterback's been in a lot, but the offense has to produce one way or another. And 21 points in the fourth was only there because they, like Byron said, the Lions let their foot off the gas. But I don't know. I think Flacco isn't going to bring more wins. I just think he's going to inflate Jamar's numbers better and T's numbers better and keep them happy.
I mean, they're getting paid so much money. It
Yeah.
it has to be that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
moving on, look at this game. Honestly, a surprising score considering how the Chargers started off the game. Kind of surprising. The Chargers the last 2 weeks losing to NFC East teams with the Giants and the Commanders after a 3-0 start. And got some terrible news. Amarion Hampton's going to go on IR for a brief stint. But let's look at the Commanders. Jaden Daniels played great. Devo Samuels played great. And how about Bill Crosby Merritt? 14 attempts, 111 yards, 2 tutties. Looking really awesome. And you can see why they traded Brian Robinson now. I can see the vision a little bit. Chargers struggled again. I mean, it was good that Ladd McConkey got a touchdown and he's starting to look a little bit better. But man, they got to figure it out. They've had a couple injuries on their O line. Now losing their star running back. We've got to see what they're going to do in the coming weeks. But that's a great win for the Commanders going into SoFi Stadium and getting that win. So I'd like to hear what you guys have.
I definitely think the Chargers are going to make a move. I don't think they want to go into this with Haskins and Kamani Vidal. Harbaugh has always kind of been, he wants to have a steady attack of pass game and run game. And after the Amarin injury, it was really apparent that they had to lean on the passing. Herbert's a great quarterback. Not going to look too much into this game, how he played. They got a lot of mouths to feed with the receivers, with Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson having a breakout season, McConkey coming off of his rookie breakout. But they need a running back. I don't know who they can maybe look at, Is that going to be, could Brees be an option?
That
Could
position's been a
Kamara be an
premium this
option?
year.
No.
It's been tough.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, I said this last week on the podcast. I was wondering when Ja'Cory was going to get those, like, a touch leap, and he finally
Boo.
did. And then Herbert, I mean, I think it's more not bad quarterback play, but more bad O-line play. I don't know. It's just the Chargers are very disappointing. I mean, they start hot and they're definitely cooled off. I don't know what to expect for them going forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good win for the Commanders, and I think that, obviously Herbert has to play better, regardless of, if it's O line, that's a group collective. The offense just has to be better. But yeah, I think it was just a good win for the Commanders, and I wouldn't look too much into it. I think the Chargers are still a good team, and I think they'll figure it out.
Agreed. Moving on to a great Sunday night football matchup. Man, this was a great game to watch. Patriots come out on top on the Bills. Drake May looking every little bit as advertised. Looking honestly like a baby Josh Allen, to be honest. Stephon Diggs, revenge game, 10 receptions, 146 yards. Looked phenomenal. Josh Allen again looked great for the Bills. Not much to really say there. He's still, I think, probably between him and Lamar Jackson last season and Patrick Mahomes, those are still 1A guys that can take over games and win them for you. But Bills finally slip up. We have no undefeated teams left now. So, I mean, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. This was a phenomenal game. So I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on this.
Well,
I'll
go ahead. Go ahead.
off, but I don't know. It was just sloppy in the first two quarters. We saw
Agreed.
a lot of fumbles, and Bills to me are a great team, and great teams don't do that. To me, it was just a bad game. And Stephon Diggs had his revenge game, and I'm happy for him to go out there in Buffalo and do that. But Drake May looked amazing. Ramondre had a touchdown, but I still don't know why Travion is not getting that touch leap as he should be getting. And
It's definitely coming now. Antonio Gibson's out for the year with that ACL. Stevenson fumbled again. That's 5, I believe,
Yeah.
already through 5 games. That almost matches his total from last season combined, where 5 fumbles was a huge deal over 17 games. You say that great teams don't drop games like this. The Patriots aren't a bad team at all. Steph
No,
Diggs played good.
this is a good football team. Mike Vrabel has got them boys playing.
And I was going to say, there's a reason we've only seen, what was it, one 16-0 team ever. There's a reason,
Yep.
teams are going to have those bad weeks. This is the NFL. The margin of talent is closer than some people would think with some of these elite teams compared to the lower teams. But the Patriots just played a good game. Bills played well as well. So I'm not going to look too far into it on the Bills' end.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I think it was a good game, obviously, but
Second half,
I'm just glad to
especially.
see. Yeah, I'm just glad to see Diggs. After the injury, he looks good, and good to see him get his revenge. And I mean, the only thing that could have happened better is if he got in that end zone. So you
Agreed.
know, great game from
And
him. And
hmm
I think that the Henderson, I've been seeing on, everywhere, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that, or X, whatever you want to call it. I mean, fans, not even fans of the Patriots, just NFL watchers in general, have been calling for Henderson to start getting that ball more. So, hopefully the front office and the coaching staff sees it, and hopefully they already had it in their brain, and he gets some more touches because I think he deserves it. I think he deserves the
100%.
opportunity.
Well, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the Patriots kicker Andy Borregales hitting his first game winner. Was an absolute dog at Miami, and performing well in the NFL so far. Now moving on to Monday Night Football. Honestly, was the game of the week. Was a fantastic football game. We saw great quarterback play on both sides. Mahomes has really picked it up over the last couple weeks, and Trevor Lawrence made a couple throws, especially that throw to Brian Thomas Jr. towards the end of the game on that last drive that show every reason why he was the number 1 pick a couple of years ago. And his interception, say what you want, can't turn the ball over, but it was a clear pass interference that led to one of the Chiefs' scores. But overall, a great football game. Came down to the wire, and what a gut check play from Trevor Lawrence to get in that end zone.
On the
It was
left,
great to
yeah.
see. Happy for him because, a lot of people would have said he hasn't lived up to the hype yet, and I think he's playing the best football of his career so far to start the season, even though the turnover numbers are high. This is a great Jaguars team. They've got a young, athletic defense and an exciting offense with a quarterback that's playing pretty well. And is it time to hit the panic button for the Chiefs? I mean, 2-3, I wouldn't say so yet, but it's not a good start. They haven't really. If you look at their 2 wins, they haven't really beaten anybody who's that good. And is it
Yeah,
time to
They
start worrying in
beat.
Kansas City?
We weren't talking about the Ravens like this before the Lamar injuries. Let's not act like going into that game when they went and took care of business. Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. They put up a lot of points. That was still a good Ravens offense. Defense has just been atrocious all year. The Chiefs defense, I mean, it's been a lot of stars, a lot of high paid players that aren't doing their job. Chris Jones has not played as
hmm
advertised. Travis Kelce,
Well, did you see that play on the last play of the
yeah,
game?
no, I mean,
He's standing there watching Trevor Lawrence walk into the
when
end
you're
zone. Like,
making as much,
you're one of the highest played. Like, that's a culture issue right there. You can't be doing that. Even if he doesn't get there and make the play, that's just ridiculous. You're a leader on that defense. You're a leader on that team. I mean, we've seen it we've seen it some from Travis Kelce. I just never thought I'd see it from Chris Jones. Like that is
Absolutely.
terrible
None
look.
of the blame can be put on Mahomes right now. He's played really good.
Mm-mm.
He's about to get Rashee Rice back. Worthy was back this week. Tequan Thornton has looked good over these last couple weeks. But again, like I said, it's just a lot of the stars that are really letting everyone down. Chris Jones can't do that. Kelsey hasn't played as good. They got to turn it around. But I'm not ready to panic because you do still have Patrick Mahomes under center.
Yeah, I agree. You can never panic when you have Patrick Mahomes and your best receiver coming back. But I mean, at the same time, you got to give the Jags props. They play good. Yes, the touchdown when Trevor Lawrence fell, I mean, that was kind of given to them by the lack of effort. But they still had a grind. They still grinded and won. And Brian Thomas finally had a decent game this week, and I'm excited. I mean, Liam Cohen is looking great as a head coach over there, and
Mm-hmm.
he's including ETN. And I mean, I hope we get to see Bryce Tuden a little bit more because to me, he's
He looked good too.
yeah, he's a breakout star. He can really take away the game for you. And
I want to say one thing real quick. Also, shout out Travis Hunter. Made an absolutely unreal catch there. I think it was in the third quarter, going up and getting a ball between two defenders and landing on his side. One of the best catches I've seen all season. I mean, that kid is special. But back to what you were saying.
like I said, I don't know. It's just the Jags are kind of electric team right now, but I do kind of expect it to die down towards the end, just because looking at Jaguars' past history, I don't know. This might be a new Jaguars team.
Definitely
Let's
under
go to the
Liam Cohen.
Jaguars fan here. Let's
Yeah,
go to the
I'm
Jaguars fan here. I know
you
I
know,
know you're happy with what you're seeing down there.
yeah, I mean, honestly, everybody was going into this week and they were saying that this was really going to tell the Jaguars were a contender or pretender. And I think that I've never been, high on Trevor Lawrence. Chase knows this, Kyle knows this, Devin knows this. I um I I just wasn't. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen, what we thought he was going to be when he was drafted. But I think this week or this past week was it was impressive. I think that the whole falling down and running running into the end zone, it was a little goofy, but it was exciting. And I think it was something that, we've been looking for him to just, make a spectacular play. I think maybe a couple years ago he just falls down and lays there. And
Hmm.
I think Travis Hunter, like you said, I believe it was Chase who said it. Uh, he's looked good. I mean, he. I think at the beginning of the year they were trying to, throw screens to him, and they weren't really getting him downfield and just letting him go and track the ball. And I think it was good that they let him do that. And I think on defense, I don't know if anybody touched on it, but he played really good. And I think that
Hmm.
he's I don't want to say underrated because he's Travis Hunter, but I think that it's going under the radar because he's not putting up too much on the stat sheet. But just watching the game in general, he looks comfortable on both sides, and I think that he can do it. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I think he can do it for sure for the next 2 to 3 years. You doing
Yep.
both.
Byron, I'm gonna have to ask you to do something for me, bro. I need your best Duval right now. You gotta do a
Oh
little better
man,
than Liam Cohen.
maybe when we go to our picks, I'll have it up for you, but
All right. Well, speaking of that, we're gonna move right into the NFL MVP conversation. I think right now it's a two-horse race. There's two guys I've seen that are playing better than the rest. I mean, you got to give Josh Allen some props up there in Buffalo, but I think the two best players this year in the NFL have been Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott.
Dude.
I think Baker Mayfield has elevated that Buccaneers roster tremendously, and I think you could say the same thing about what Dak's doing in that Dallas offense. I think Dak is leading the best offense in the NFL right now, putting up phenomenal numbers and really playing up to that $60 million price tag, which I don't think we could have said in the past, but I think he's playing up to it right now. And then Baker Mayfield winning games week in, week out. I mean, channeling that inner Brady mode. And it's good to see two guys that, have had some hate in the media, kind of almost shut everybody up and show you that some of these pundits and these guys that are loudmouths in the media, they can't always determine what's going to happen over a player's career. But those are my two picks,
I don't
and I think it's pretty clear.
I don't think you could say pretty clear having those two names and leaving out Josh Allen. Josh Allen, as much as we hate
I
this,
mentioned Josh Allen.
yeah,
I just
but
think
you said it's a
those two are
two-dog
elevating
race.
their
You said
teams
it's
more
a
than Josh.
you said it's a two-dog race.
It's a two-horse race. I think Josh Allen's third, but I still think it's a two-horse race right now.
Elevate. I don't. It's a record. Like, as much as we hate to admit it, record does go into MVP. Your team's success does go into MVP. Whether the Cowboys are losing because of the defense or what it is, they're 2-2-1. That's not as attractive as, Baker Mayfield is going and winning games week in and week out. Josh Allen is going in and winning games week in and win out. I'm even willing to put Daniel Jones ahead of him right now. He's looked really good.
No.
What are you trying? Are you?
Kyle,
What's?
come on.
Then why have they looked so much better? Why has that offense looked so much better?
Because that defense is a lot better. The Cowboys have the
I'm
best
asking you
offense in
about-
the league. Dak can only control what Dak can control.
I don't know. I'm right now for me. I'm putting Dak in the conversation. He belongs there. He's played really well, but to say that he's playing better than Josh Allen right now, you lost me there. You lost me there because not only does Josh Allen do it with his arm, he does it with his legs too. He has 9 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns in total, like almost 1,500 total yards. 2 interceptions only. Like Josh
I disagree. I think Josh Allen's played phenomenal. I'm just saying,
Yes, but
if you look at that Cowboys
it's
roster,
a 2-horse race. If we're talking about rosters, who's Josh Allen doing it with? Just James Cook.
James Cook.
That's it.
And it's not like he doesn't. He has good wide receivers too. Like Keon Coleman is an extremely
Shakir-
underrated player. Shakir is the most underrated
Legend.
wide receiver in the league. Shakir has played great this year.
But we can't sit here and say that, like Baker, like obviously Baker and Dak have more weapons, but it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen's easy leading the MVP race right now. He's doing it with less talented people. Yes, I love Dak, or I don't really like Dak, but he's playing great. I love the Cowboys. Don't get me wrong, Dak should be in the conversation, but he's definitely not top 2 yet. It's still
Is
Josh
it
Allen
not?
Baker.
Can you agree with me, Dylan? It is kind of a team performance thing as well. If your team misses the play, when is the last time we've seen an MVP on a team with a team that misses the playoffs?
This is my hot take. I don't think the Cowboys are going to miss the playoffs this year.
Well, don't get me wrong. I don't think they will either. But what I'm saying is, Josh Allen, regardless of record, statistically,
Has been
has
better. I
performed.
agree.
But
Not passing. Dak's the number 1 passer in
What?
the league
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. Yes, Dak is rated the number 1 passing QB in the league right
Are you
now.
going just off
What I'm
QBR or what are we going off of? Just passing yards?
It's totally.
The entire look at PFF rankings, everything. Dak's the number 1 graded passer
It's
right now.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football right now, followed behind Baker
I'm not
Mayfield.
disputing that. I'm saying who's played the best through the first 5 weeks of the
Josh
season.
Allen.
Dak Prescott has been the best quarterback just in terms of quarterback play. I mean, even getting them into the right sets, getting Javante into the best looks. Just if we're talking from a pure quarterback play perspective, I mean, Dak is one of the only quarterbacks that still kind of plays the game how we watched our idols grow up, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, people like that watched so much film and could get the offense into the right looks against the defense. Almost kind of reminiscent of a younger Aaron Rodgers where he was manipulating defenses with his cadence. I mean, I think Dak has looked phenomenal. And like I said, the 3 players, I mean, they're interchangeable. Obviously, Josh Allen. I'm a massive Josh Allen supporter. I thought Josh Allen was a clear favorite for MVP last year. And then Baker Mayfield has just been the most clutch quarterback in the National Football League. So we could debate this all day long, but I do really think Dak has played phenomenally this year. And this is a different Dak than we've ever seen. Like, I don't think we've ever seen Dak play at this level.
And I don't necessarily
Yeah.
disagree with you at all. I'm just trying to get you to retract that statement of it's a 2-dog race.
I'm not retracting. I'm full in on that. I think it's pretty safe to say that it'll be one of those 3 players: Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, or Josh Allen, barring a season-ending injury. one of those guys is going to win MVP. But I'd like Byron to weigh in on this conversation.
Yeah, I think that Kyle, I think the Cowboys hate is coming out a little bit because Dak has played really good. And I get what you're
And I've said
saying.
that. I've said
It's
he's
easy to
played
be
very
like,
good.
yeah, no. I get that. But, you know, obviously Josh Allen is elite. Obviously if anybody's starting the team, they want him at QB. But
Outside of
right
maybe
now,
Mahomes.
yeah. But me personally, I'm taking Josh Allen. But right
Me too.
now, I don't even have Dak or Josh Allen as my MVP. I have Baker. If we're talking about right now today, I'm taking Baker only because I feel like he's adding something that other quarterbacks could not add to that Buccaneers team, and that's the confidence, the the fieriness, the just
Clutch.
he instills so much into that team that it's what an MVP does. And will he win the MVP? Probably not. But that's who I have right now, and it's solely based off of just what I think he brings to the locker room. And I mean, obviously he's playing good on the field, but it's more so just his leadership and his presence.
He's really elevating that team. But
Yeah.
moving on, we're going to get into our NFL picks.
Wait,
Well,
hold
actually,
on.
first off, we need to go through our Week 5 slate. So, looking at next week, we got Thursday Night Football, Eagles
Let
versus
me stop right
Giants.
there, Chase. Week 6. Week 6.
Week 6. My fault. That's a typo, but we'll fix that. But we'll start off Thursday Night Football, Eagles versus Giants. Should be an interesting game. Then we move into Sunday morning. We've got another overseas game, Broncos versus Jets. Then we get into our 12 o'clock slate. We got Cardinals versus Colts, Cowboys versus Panthers, Browns versus Steelers, which is a good rivalry game, Chargers versus Dolphins, Rams versus Ravens, and then a great game, Seahawks versus Jaguars. And then we also have the Patriots versus the Saints to round off that 12 o'clock window. And then getting into the 3 o'clock window, we got Titans versus Raiders, Bengals versus Packers. Great game of the week. 49ers versus Buccaneers, which should be a great game. And then we've got Sunday Night Football. We've got another great game, Lions versus Chiefs. And then Monday night, we've got 2 games, Bills versus Falcons and Bears versus Commanders. So let's get into our picks for this week. So NFL picks for our Week 6. We're going to start out with Sunday Night Football, Lions versus Kansas City. We'll start off with you, Dylan. Who do you think wins this game?
I got the Lions. I think, like Kyle was saying earlier, the way that Dan Campbell is using his star players, such as Sonic and Knuckles, and I think J-Mo's gonna go off this game. And I think Sam Laporta will too. I don't know, bro. It's just this Chiefs defense isn't doing it for me. And Dan Campbell lights a fire under me, and I want to play for him. And I easily got the Lions.
Kyle?
I think if this game was played in Detroit, my pick would be a whole lot different. This is going to be a very high-scoring game. The Chiefs offense, I believe they're getting Rashee Rice back this week, no? The suspension's up, or is it one more week? One more week?
I think one more week, but
Still, I've seen enough from those receivers to think that they're not a bad team. They play up to their competition. They play down to their competition. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. Ultimately, I think the Chiefs sneak it out.
I'm going to disagree with you, Kyle. I think Dan Campbell is the best coach in the NFL. I think they've got the best 2 running backs in the NFL. They've got a top 5 wide receiver, and Jared Goff can get the ball to the right places when it's needed. And, this Lions defense has played well enough, and I never want to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Gotten in trouble many times for betting against him, but this Lions team's special. They were special last year. I think they keep rolling. They've looked great over the last 4 weeks. I think they keep it rolling.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions. Looking into this game, the Chiefs have given up the 7th most rushing yards in the NFL, and with Sonic and Knuckles, you just it's not a good matchup. And obviously the Chiefs are home and whatever, but I have the Lions. I think the Lions, they're gonna just run all over the Chiefs, honestly. And I think it's going to be a big game for either Gibbs or Montgomery. I don't know who. Depends on who gets the most rushes, but I think that this Chiefs defense just can't stop the run. And, like Dylan said, it might open up the passing game, and J-Mo or St. Brown has a big game too. But I think it starts on the ground, and I think it starts with Sonic and Knuckles.
But I think this is a must-win for the Chiefs. Going
100%.
Oh,
because
yeah.
this is
Definitely
Can't drop to
staying.
2-4.
yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got another great matchup: Seahawks versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Start off with you, Dylan. Who do you think wins this football game?
Damn it. All right. Well, I'm going with the Seahawks. I think Sam Darnold could light this defense up. I think Kenneth Walker gets a touchdown, and I think Jason continues to eat. But I'm excited to see what Travis Hunter does. He's an electric player, and hopefully Brian Thomas can get going with some touchdowns. I have him in fantasy. He's been killing me, but I'm gonna go Seattle.
I too am gonna favor Seattle. This one is probably one of my toughest decisions that I've made, even with that Chiefs and Lions game. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Liam Cohen and the Jags. However, this Seahawks team is really good. How are the Jags corners gonna fare against Jackson Smith and Jigba? Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet has been a pretty good tandem so far this year. And then Sam Darnold has really just found a way in all the games he's played. They almost beat the Buccaneers last week. I think they take this one.
I got one thing to say for y'all. Duval, baby. There's no doubt in my mind this is a really good football team. I think Trevor Lawrence has shown enough this year to show that he was worthy of that number one pick, and I think he stacks weeks and has another great week. Travis Hunter is going to continue to get integrated in the offense, play lockdown defense. That Jaguars defense is electric, and I'm not taking anything away from Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. I think that's a really good football team, but I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Liam Cohen's offense, and I think this Jaguars team could do something pretty special.
Yeah, man. The piggyback off Chase, man. I got Duval, man. I think that obviously the matchup is in favor of the Seahawks, but I just think there's something special going on in Jacksonville. I don't know. I was thinking about it, as I'm writing down my notes and I'm making my picks, and I was like, what does this team remind me of? And I'm like, it just feels, as a Jacksonville fan, there's not many years that you can feel, like you can beat anybody. And they give me 2017 Jaguars, man.
100%.
I, I wrote that down. I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, that's what it is. It's the 2017 Jaguar energy, and obviously, after 2017, it went right back down. But you know, I think this is 2017 Jaguar energy, and maybe this year they can, if they keep adding on good weeks. I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself, but maybe it could be that 2017 Jaguar team or better. But yeah, I got Duval here. I got the Jaguars.
Great pick. I love that pick. Moving on. This is another interesting matchup. We got the San Francisco 49ers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams getting massive wins last week. San Francisco going into LA and winning, and then the Buccaneers getting a clutch win versus the Seahawks. Dylan, I'm going to start off with you. Who you got?
I think this is going to be a great game. I love what Christian McCaffrey's doing over there, but I got to take Tampa Bay. Like we were talking about earlier, Baker Mayfield is that fourth quarter winner. He's going to win the game for them. Emeka Ibuka is going to go off for another touchdown at least. I think Bucky might be out for this game. I'm pretty sure. So
Yep.
White's going to take over the backfield again. He did a great job last week. But it really just comes down to if the Tampa Bay's defense can stop Ricky Pearsall. Should be coming back this week, and Christian McCaffrey. But I got the Bucks, baby.
I said it last week. I said that, overall the 49ers weren't really as great of a team, especially with Mac Jones. I'm going to have to lean that way again and hope I'm right this time. The Bucks are just one of the better teams in the NFC right now. Up there with the Seahawks, up there with the Lions, up there with the Eagles. No real hesitation here. Going the Bucks.
We got a battle of 2-4-1 teams, so really no wrong answer here, but I think y'all know which way I'm going. I'm going to go with my dog, Baker Mayfield. He has been clutch all season long. There's no evidence to suggest that that's going to change this week. Give me the Buccaneers.
Yeah, man, I'm going with the Bucks too. They're hot. I mean, both teams are hot, but the
Mm.
Bucks are hot. The Bu- the Bucks are hot, yeah. And Emeka and Baker, that duo is elite. That's been said, that's known. It was a maybe at the first week, and I think by now it's solidified. And I was just going through and I was looking at the injury report, and for the 49ers, I mean Purdy, Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, Bosa, Ayuk, like there's so many injuries to where like I just don't think they keep up. And one thing I wanted to talk about, and which I was talking about when we were talking about the recaps, I feel like Baker's playing with his college swag again. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen
Look like
countless
OU Baker.
videos. Yeah, I've seen countless videos of him talking to fans, just being the normal, overly confident Baker and backing it up on the field. And it's exciting to watch, and it's part of why I had him as my MVP pick because, college Baker was something that nobody wanted to mess with and nobody could touch, and that's the energy that he's given when he's in Tampa Bay. And I don't know what it is about that Tampa Bay, but it revitalizes people's career, and
Yeah,
I like it. I love it.
yeah, me too. Speaking of Baker being himself and like college self, before the Seahawks game, he was in the tunnel. The Seahawks fan was talking trash to him, and he
Hmm.
said, "Don't worry, I'll be back at the end of the game. We'll see what's up." And
Hmm.
in the game, he came back. He talked his trash just like he did in
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
yeah, I love it. I love the
Yep.
energy, and I love the swag.
All right, moving on to the next game on the slate. We've got the Bills versus the Falcons. Pretty unique matchup. We've got an AFC opponent versus an NFC opponent that don't normally play each other. Which way do y'all see this one going?
I mean, this could be an upset watch. In my opinion, Bijan could go off. Drake London could go off, but you can never bet against Josh Allen. He has that Patrick Mahomes effect. That offense is elite. We'll see if James Cook can get going this week. He didn't really get going last week, and that's why I think they lost. But I got the Bills.
I think Bijan will go off. I don't think it's a matter of if he will go off. I think he will most definitely go off. Drake will
Bijan fantasy owner, by the way.
have both all my leagues. Drake will have a good game. I think Penix plays good, but man, these Bills, man. I don't think they're gonna go down 2 games in a row after losing to the Patriots. I think they snap back into the swing of things. And they take this one.
I'm gonna make it quick and easy. Josh Allen, MVP candidate. They're not losing 2 games in a row. They're gonna absolutely destroy the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons really have a chance in this game. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills also. I think, like Kyle said, they're gonna bounce back from that week or from that loss, and I think Josh Allen's gonna show everybody why he's the best QB in the league, and I think it's gonna be a great game for him. I do think the Falcons play it close for a while. I think maybe for 1 or 2 quarters, it's a game, but I think at the end, Josh Allen and the Bills just take over, and you know maybe a two-score game. It could be a 3 or 4 score game. It just depends.
All right, moving on. We've got a pretty unique matchup here. Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels, the battle of the number one versus number two picks. Could be an exciting one. We could see this going either way. The Bears have obviously looked good over the past couple weeks, and then we know what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders can do. So this could be up in the air. I'm going to start off with you, Dylan. What do you think?
You're right. I think this is the most 50-50 matchup we've got in the slate, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't believe in the Jaden Daniels. So I think he's in the sophomore slump. I do understand that Debo has been going off, and Ja'Cory went off last week, but I gotta go with the Bears. Caleb Williams or Roma Dunze, that's been a nasty combo all year, and it's just gonna get even better. And I believe Swift could even get going. And that Bears defense is legit. I got the Bears.
I agree with everything you just said about the Bears. Nothing but good things to say about them so far this year. But I'm not really understanding the whole narrative we're trying to push about Jaden Daniels. I think ever since he's been in the league, he's impressed. He's won games. That's the best thing you could do as a quarterback and go in there and put your team in a good situation to win. I'm going the Commanders here.
I'm going to have to agree with Dylan on this one. while I do love Jaden Daniels, I think Ben Johnson, coming off a bye week, is going to have some special stuff cooked up. It just gives more time for Caleb Williams to prep. They've prepped an extra week for the Commanders. I think they'll be ready to go. I think Caleb Williams has honestly looked very good this season. I think he has a statement victory over the Commanders. I think this is going to be a big tell for how good the Bears are or how good the Commanders are. So, I'm going to go against my gut because I want to pick the Commanders and go with Jaden Daniels, but I think Caleb Williams is going to have a big game this week, so I'm going to go with the Bears.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think, Daniels versus Williams is always going to be exciting. I think it's going to be exciting for years to come. But right now, I have the Commanders. I think that the game is going to be a pretty high scoring game. I think they're going to go back and forth. I think Daniels and Williams are going to show, why they're next up. They're the two quarterbacks next up, and but I think it ends with the Commanders taking the W. I don't think it'll be a Hail Mary or anything crazy, but I think that the Commanders and Daniels will be taking that W.
All right, moving on. We're going to move on to some college football now. I know y'all have waited a long time for us to get through the NFL action. It was a crazy week of college football. Honestly, we'll start off with Georgia versus Kentucky. Georgia goes in, handles business. Could have been a little bit of a trap game, but Georgia goes in, obviously, handles business following that Alabama loss. Michigan actually looked really good against Wisconsin. Bryce Underwood dominated and is starting to really look like the player that everybody has expected him to be. Notre Dame, Boise State. Notre Dame actually kept this one pretty close throughout the first half, but obviously Notre Dame's a really good football team, and they pulled away in the second half. Upset of the week. I'm gonna get y'all's opinions on this one. UCLA 0-4, defeating number 7 Penn State. What's going on with Penn State? Like, this is crazy. Shout out to Nico. 166 through the air, 128 on the ground, 3 touchdowns on the ground too. It's a crazy game. What are y'all's thoughts on this Penn State UCLA game?
I don't know. Drew Aller just has not impressed me at all this year in any of the games, even the ones where they haven't really played much competition. I haven't been impressed. They've dropped 2 in a row now. I cannot recall off the top of my head the AP 25 top 25. Where did they fall to now after these 2 losses?
They're out. They're
They're
falling
out.
out.
That's
I'm
crazy.
ranked.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That can't happen with how talented that roster is. And quite frankly, I don't think they can rebound into that college football playoff.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. They've still got some big games left on their schedule that if they do end up winning them, they will catapult themselves back into that conversation. And I think there are some teams right now in the top 25. Once they play other teams and start losing, it will shake it up. There's going to be upsets all over the board. This is the most parity we've seen in college football this season. Anybody outside of maybe Ohio State and Oregon, anybody can beat anybody this year. We've seen that week in, week out. Even group of 5 teams coming in and competing with top of the line FBS teams that are in the Power 4 conference. So we'll see what happens. But Dylan, what's up with your boy Drew Allard? Like, this was one of your guys you were really high on at the beginning of this season, and the last 2 weeks he's just absolutely, honestly, played pretty awful.
I agree. I mean, I'm a man of my word. Yeah, I said that Drew Aller was going to be a. Yeah, last year he was pretty good, but I don't know, bro. It's just that whole offense, all the way from the receivers to the running backs, have all been underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
That James Franklin is, I think it's time for him to go. Probably falling for his head. I don't know.
Yep.
It's just, like they should not be losing to a UCLA 0-4 team.
Yep. Who's looked terrible. Byron, what do you have to say concerning Penn
Yeah,
State?
yeah. I mean, just it's unacceptable. You can't be a top 10 team going into a 0-4 place and, just letting them drop 42 on you, especially as bad or as mediocre as Nico's looked. I mean, you made him look like he was what everybody thought he was the 5-star, that was going to change the UCLA program. And I mean, shoot, I mean, great win for I'm sorry if I butcher his name, but isn't it New Heisel? Isn't that how you
Yes,
say
New
it?
Heisel,
The
the
new
offensive coordinator.
coordinator. Yeah, great
Yep,
win for him and whoever else they have coaching. I know they lost all their coaches or whatever. So, great win for them and UCLA, and hopefully it's something that they can build on. I know
agreed.
they were talking about there was communication issues, and Nico was calling a lot of his own plays and stuff. So maybe that was the recipe, and maybe it wasn't Nico, but um, Drew Aller and Penn State, they just have to do better. Aller, if he wants to live up to the hype, he has to really, turn it on these next few weeks and try to get back in that top 25 and get into that college playoff. Because if he doesn't, I mean,
That's
I
not
don't
looking
know
good
what
for
the
his
future
draft
looks like
stock.
for him. Yeah.
They pretty much have to run the table now. We're not going to see a 9-3 team get into the playoff as we saw last year with Alabama, but we will see 10-2 teams make the playoff.
Yeah.
We saw it last year with Ohio State. We're going to see some more 10-2 teams make the playoffs. So, if they run the table, it's still very likely they could get in with the schedule they have, but they're going to have to be close to perfect. So moving on, another big upset. Florida kind of looked like what was advertised at the beginning of the season about this football team. I mean, DJ Lagway played his butt off. And Texas, man, they got to figure it out. This roster is too talented. We have to remind ourselves that this was the preseason number one in the entire country at the beginning of the season, the number one team. It is taking them 5 weeks to fall out of the top 25 altogether. 5 weeks. The last team that fell out of the top 25 being the preseason number one, I believe it took them 12 weeks to fall out. I think it was one of the Miami teams back in the day. This is just ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of questions across the board concerning this Texas team. I think, Arch Manning showed flashes of being a talented quarterback. He also showed a lot of immaturity with some of his throws and his interceptions towards the end of the game. But I thought that this was a solid performance for a kid going into the swamp and still had an opportunity to win the game at the end of the game. Um, they couldn't run the ball whatsoever. Arch Manning pretty much, I think they had 340 total yards. Arch Manning accounted for 300 of them. You've got to find a way to run the football. And then on top of that, you've got to be able to stop Florida's offense, who has, played a really good game, but their rushing attack just absolutely dominated Texas front. I think Texas lost in the trenches this week, and they're gonna have to turn it around. Like we said for Penn State, Texas is gonna have to be perfect on the way out, all the way out if they want to reach that playoff. Which is they do have a pretty weak schedule. They have Oklahoma obviously coming up in Georgia. They win those two games, they're very much back in the conversation. But it's shocking. It's shocking for a team this talented to fall out of the top 25. So what are y'all's
I don't
thoughts?
necessarily think this is as talented of a Texas team as we've seen in the past. Contrevian
No
Wisner,
question.
CJ Baxter, those are kind of replacement level running backs compared to what they've had in the past. Bijan the last couple of years, Jonathan Brooks, Rashawn Johnson, you know, the wide receivers.
Baxter was supposed to be
I
that though.
understand
Baxter was starting
injuries.
as a true
Injuries suck.
freshman.
Injuries suck.
Yep.
He missed all of his sophomore season. But even the wide receivers, I don't get the same spark from Wingo and Parker as I kind of did from
Parker
watching.
Livingston is a
Yeah,
dog
but
though.
watching
That's a true freshman playing like that.
Isaiah
So can't
Bond,
say we could say about that.
Isaiah
But
Bond, A.D. Mitchell, Golden last year. I'm just not. I don't see that spark that I saw back then. And then you lose your two tackles to the NFL draft.
hmm
Arch has been under a lot of pressure from opposing defenses so far this year, and some of that is on the O line. He just doesn't look as comfortable. He's missing some throws that he should not be missing. And then I said it about Florida's defense before this game. I said Florida's defense is going to give Texas some issues. It was going to be up to the Texas defense and how they could stop that Florida offense. Wasn't able to happen. DJ Lagway played really well this game.
I think the Texas defense is more disappointing than their offense, surprisingly. But the offense could go from the play calling. CJ Baxter to me was way more talented than Jaden Blue last year and Wisner this year. It's just I don't know. It's just disappointing. But you always got to go back to it's just a classic overhyped Texas team.
yeah. Byron, you have anything to add on?
I mean, like Dylan said, overhyped Texas team. I think that Arch Manning, yeah, he showed flashes, but I mean, y'all know I'm not very high on him at all. I think that he makes a lot of immature, stupid, dumb passes. I think that I don't know. I've been saying it since he came into Texas. The level that he played at in high school is really showing.
Yep.
He's playing people that are bigger, faster, stronger, and he's not adjusting well. And I made a comment when I was watching the game to the people I was watching it with, and I was like, if he's playing like this, and he's the dude who's the starter with no question, I'd hate to see their backups. And
Well, I will say
yeah,
they do have a really good backup quarterback in Matthew Caldwell who did come
I've
in and
heard,
played well, but they're not going to
I've
bench
heard,
Arch Manning. They've invested too much
yeah.
money, too much capital, too much media into him. He's not getting benched. There's no question.
Well, I mean, you can't continuously just fall lower and lower and lower. I mean, you're supposed to be winning games. You're supposed to be competing for a national championship. And to touch on Florida, I think that Lagway, he looked all right.
Played well. He
He,
played a
yeah,
really good game.
he played good, but it was better than I expected. With him, he showed really bad moments and he showed really solid moments. And I think the running game for Florida really is what
And they
opened
haven't
up
had that all
their
year.
play.
Florida finally
Yeah,
got that running game
yeah.
going.
I think that really helped them, and that really is made the difference. Is in general, it took some pressure off of them. When you have multiple weapons, you got the running game and passing game going. It's hard, especially with a team that was already down, like
Yep.
Texas was.
I will say Florida probably is the most talented 1-3 team we've seen in a while. They if they got their offense rolling, if they got that running game rolling like they did this week, they could easily be 4-1, 5-0, 3-2. I mean, this is still a really good football team that we had high hopes for going into the season. But enough about this game. We're gonna move on. Virginia Louisville goes into overtime. Miller Moss looked great for the Cardinals. Chandler Morris has actually played really well for Virginia. Virginia's a good football team. They get another clutch win, so that's good for the Cavaliers. And then another great game. Alabama pulls away from Vandy at the end. This game was a lot closer until the fourth quarter. Vanderbilt just couldn't get it done in the second half. I mean, Alabama looks like a good football team. Ty Simpson has looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Now that Mateer's out, Simpson's looked like the best quarterback since Mateer's been out. But Ryan Williams had a good game. Um, that's really all I got to say about that. I mean, I think Vanderbilt probably could have played a little bit better in the second half, but that's still a good football team. And then moving on, Oklahoma versus Kent State. Oklahoma takes care of business. Michael Hawkins did look shaky at times throughout this game, but Oklahoma takes care of business moving into Red River rivalry. Then we've got Texas Tech versus Houston. I know we talked about this game a lot last week. Morton looked great for the Red Raiders. This is a really good Texas Tech team. It's kind of scary to see the backup Zion Chris come in and almost outperform the starter Connor Wigman. Tech, I just didn't think Houston was really up to the challenge at all this game and kind of showed their deficiencies that they had against Oregon State. But Kyle, you had anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, the defense looked exceptionally good in the first half. They only gave up that one touchdown. It was a field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal to start that game. I think it was five field goals in that first. Yeah,
Yep.
five field goals in that first quarter. And Connor didn't look great. However, they did have some turnovers with fumbles. I believe they did have an interception as well. Just got to really turn the page. I think that kind of kills. It honestly kind of kills. Yeah,
Houston Red,
it
yeah.
kills like what momentum Houston had going.
Mm-hmm. Anything else y'all had to add on this game?
No.
No.
All right. Well, we're going to move to the battle of the state of Florida. First time both of these teams have been ranked and pretty highly talked about. Miami versus Florida State. Honestly, man, Carson Beck has played his butt off this year and has probably played his way into the Heisman conversation. I'll be the first to say it. I was wrong about you, Carson Beck. I honestly thought Carson Beck at Georgia last season, especially, was one of the most overrated players in the country, but he's looked phenomenal for the Hurricanes. This Miami team is really good. This is a really talented team. Every team that they played, they've dominated. This game was not as close as the box score makes it seem. Florida State did score a lot in that fourth quarter, but going into the fourth, it was 28-3. So could be another one of those situations like we talked about with the Lions where they just let their foot off the gas. And, I'll give credit to Tommy Castellanos, still putting up big numbers and still a really talented quarterback, but this Miami team is special.
Yeah, tough loss.
Yep,
Tough loss as an FSU fan, but Miami's just talented, man.
extremely.
They're elite. They're elite. I think Carson Beck and I think it's a Miami thing in general of just getting these transfer quarterbacks and
Give Crystal
letting
Ball some credit,
them.
man.
Yeah, yeah, and they let them be themselves within the system, and not many systems are like that to where you can take a quarterback like Cam Ward and a quarterback like Carson Beck, and they can both succeed in the same system because they can adjust certain things, but their system is so flexible and so consistent that you can plug and play a lot of people and they succeed. But let's not take away Carson Beck is a good quarterback. He's playing great. Um, Tony is, one of the most electric
Different.
freshmen in the country.
Whew.
Yeah,
I think we
and he's not a big guy
think we
either.
lost Dylan. So
No.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it's just a tough loss for Florida State. Hopefully they can bounce back and try to get back in that win column. But losing two in a row, it definitely hurts.
All right, hold on one second. I think we're having a little technical difficulties. Um,
he said his
Dylan.
PC's messing up a little bit, and it's not letting him log into Riverside right now. So guess we're
Okay,
gonna have
well,
to
we'll just
move
continue
on
on
a
here
little
for a
bit. Yeah.
second. When he can join back, we'll get him back in. We're gonna move on to Ohio State. Dominates PJ Fleck in Minnesota. I had this game being a lot closer. Carnell Tate, you know, being the number two wide receiver behind Jeremiah Smith, looked great. Julian Sayin, talk about him flying under the radar. Not many people are talking about this kid. He's played great. He's played some really good football as of late, but Ohio State's rolling, looking like every bit of the number one team in the country. Then we're going to take it over to Kyle Field in College Station, where Texas A&M took on Mississippi State. This game was very close through the first half, and A&M kind of turned it on in the second half. Some nervous moments there for the Aggies, but
Couldn't score.
Ruben
Couldn't
Owens
score
had a
first.
phenomenal game, and they bounced back towards the end and just showed everybody in the country why they're a top 10 team.
I've been saying it all year. That offense is crazy. On top of the defense, y'all were talking about this being a trap game for A&M by Mississippi
It
State.
was. I mean, if you look through the first two quarters of the game, I mean, without that touchdown right before halftime, A&M goes down. They're down 3-0 to Mississippi
I
State
agree.
at halftime.
I agree.
So
But they did hold
I wouldn't say the
Mississippi State.
offenses is crazy, but that defense
I do think
really,
it is. I think
this
they
game
have.
especially, the defense kept them
Well,
in it.
they have three. I think they have maybe the best receiving room in total
No
in college
question.
football with Mario Carver, who had a really big game. Casey Conception, Terry Bussey, and then the running game as well. Marcel didn't play as good as he has so far this season, but that's a good offense. That defense is crazy. They held them to 3 field goals. I'm,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. I will touch on Marcel Reed. I think the weapons around Marcel Reed are some of the best in the country. We'll see if he's as good as advertised. We'll see in the coming weeks what kind of happens. Their schedule kind of ramps up. They got Florida this week, so we'll see against a really good Florida defense what happens with Marcel. But moving on to the CFP slate this week, we got South Florida versus North Texas. Could be an interesting game in the American. Ohio State taking on Illinois. That should be a very interesting game. Altemeyer for Illinois looked great, but Ohio State, they've looked great as well. Ole Miss taking on a Pac-12 team in Washington State. Ole Miss should absolutely roll. Alabama versus Missouri. Missouri has looked pretty good all year, and this could be another. Alabama's had a tough run of schedules. This could be finally the game that Alabama drops. Then we got Florida State versus Pitt, Indiana versus Oregon. Phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. Mendoza's looked great for Indiana, and that Oregon team has looked really, really, really good. Kansas plays Texas Tech. Texas Tech should roll in this one. Then we've got Iowa State versus Colorado. Head over to Red River Rivalry, Oklahoma versus Texas. This is a really interesting matchup this week. If Texas loses one, their season and their college football playoff chances are most likely over. Tennessee versus Arkansas. We're going to see if Tennessee, in a potential trap game with Arkansas, changing coaches with Bobby Petrino coming back. We'll see what they can do against the Volunteers. Michigan versus USC. Jaden Mayava versus Bryce Underwood should be a really good matchup. NC State taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame should roll there. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech could be an interesting matchup. Texas A&M, Florida. I think this is another really good matchup. Florida had a great win at Texas last week. Let's see if they can beat the other Texas team, really put the state of Texas in some misery. Then we've got Georgia versus Auburn. That's in a primetime game slot. Could be very interesting. This Auburn team has a really good defense. Could be slept on. And then we also have LSU versus South Carolina. South Carolina has not lived up to the standard we thought they would. But you know what? It's still a good football team. LSU has looked solid despite the loss to Ole Miss. And then we wrap up the schedule with BYU versus Arizona and Arizona State versus Utah. That's going to move us right into our picks for week
Hang on.
6
I'm gonna
and
try
week
something
7.
real quick. Dylan told me to give him a call so he can also make his pick. So is it cool if I have him through the phone?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's ring him in real quick. All right, we're making our picks right now. We're starting off with Oklahoma and Texas.
Versus Texas, Red River rivalry. John Mateer is potentially playing,
It's
so
a very much needed bounce back game, and I think Archie gives it to us, and I think the defense steps up against Oklahoma.
Yeah,
all right, Kyle.
I'm going the opposite right now. I haven't been impressed by really anything that Texas has done all season. Michael Hawkins Jr. did play in the Red River rivalry game last year. It looked terrific. That was one of just the worst bloodbath performances. I think it changes this year. I think the Oklahoma team as a whole is a little bit better this year. Give me the Boomer Sooners.
You know what? It's 11:48 right now, and OU still freaking sucks. There's no way I was going to pick the Sooners here, especially if Mateer's out. I don't care what goes on. Texas is going to own this rivalry for the next couple years. Brett Venables doesn't have it. Sark's got his number. Give me the horns, man. I think this is the week Arch Manning finally figures it out a little bit. He showed flashes last week. Let's put a complete performance together, get that running game going. Defense gets some stops. I got the horns here. Let's get back in the top 25.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what y'all are talking about with the flashes and bloodline and all that, but to be frank, he just isn't the guy. Arch Manning isn't the guy. He's not a good quarterback, in my opinion. Not in my opinion. He's just not a good quarterback, and that's how I feel. And OU isn't great. Don't get it messed up. They're not a great team, but it's hard to win in the SEC if your quarterback isn't consistent, and Arch Manning has been the definition of inconsistency. And right now, I mean, I think the only way Texas wins is if that defense gets 2 to 3 turnovers and continuously gets him the ball back to try to get him, some type of momentum, because he can't create it himself, and that offense can't create it themselves. So I'm taking OU all the way. I think OU and Hawkins, I think they just play better, and I think that Arch Manning, he does what he's been doing. He turns the ball over. He makes bad throws, and he just shows immaturity.
Moving on, we've got another interesting matchup. We've got Ohio State versus Illinois. I don't think we need to talk too much about these picks, but Dylan, who are you going
Dylan,
with?
we got Ohio State and Illinois.
I got Ohio State, and it's not even close. I think the over-under of points for this game is 49.5, and I'll be taking the over. Ohio State is a way better team. The best team in the nation is way better than Illinois. That's an easy win for Ohio State.
I too will be taking the over. Give me Ohio State. Let's make it simple.
Just following it up. Best team in the country right now. Shout out Luke Altmaier for Illinois, but Ohio State's dominating this game.
Yeah, give me the Buckeyes, man. It's not even a question.
Moving on. Unique matchup Alabama versus Missouri. Missouri's looked good, 5-0. Alabama 4-1. Could be a tricky game in the SEC. Alabama's played two really tough opponents. Do you think they can carry that momentum on and beat Missouri?
All right, Dylan.
Or
Real quick, Dylan, we got Alabama and Missouri.
I got Alabama. I think Ty Simpson continues to go off. And I don't think Missouri is as good as the record says.
I do think Missouri is as good as the record says. However, I think Ty Simpson has probably been one of the best quarterbacks. He showed it in that game versus Georgia, showed it in this game versus Vanderbilt. I think this one's going to be pretty easy for me, though. I am going to be leaning towards the Crimson Tide side.
Well, I'm not going to make another bad graphic because I think this is upset watch this week. Missouri's shown enough. Penn State transfer Padula has looked really, really good. I'm going to go with the Tigers. I think it's a away game for Alabama in the SEC. Anything can happen week in, week out. And this. I just have a feeling this could go the way of Missouri this week, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Alabama's coming off of a good win versus an undefeated Vandy team. They've been hot. And frankly, I just don't think Missouri is the team that's going to stop them. So I have Bama, roll tide. And I don't think it's going to be that competitive. I think that Missouri isn't a terrible team, but I think Alabama's just way too hot to get stopped by Missouri right now.
All right, we've got another great matchup. Oregon versus Indiana. Mendoza looked phenomenal for Indiana, but Dante Moore's in his own right has looked just as good for Oregon. The Oregon team is looking really good offensively and defensively. So, Dylan, I'm going to kick it over to you. Who you got?
Got Oregon and Indiana, Dylan.
I got Oregon. I think Dante Moore continues to show why he should be the front runner in the Heisman race. And I think Oregon easily takes this.
Yeah, I think Dante Moore's played really well this year. Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. This is a really good matchup for quarterbacks in general. However, that Oregon team as a whole is so much better. I'm taking them. I'm not even going to think too much about this pick.
I'm going to follow up. I've said that Dante Moore has been my Heisman pick from the beginning of the season. I think he keeps rolling. Big win against Penn State. I'm not going to think too much about it. Shout out Kirk Cignetti, though, for really building this Indiana team into a powerhouse. He did it at James Madison, now doing it in the Big Ten with Indiana. Shout out Kirk Cignetti. Shout out Fernando Mendoza, but it's really not too much to think about. Give me the Ducks.
Yeah, man, I got the Ducks too. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think Mendoza versus Moore will be fun. I think that Indiana is talented. I mean, obviously they're talented. They're number 7 in the country right now?
Yep.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's a top 10 matchup. You can't, ride it out. It's just easy. But I definitely think that the recruiting that Oregon did with all these talented freshmen and just transfer portal guys and just in general, just their talent will take over.
Dan
And
Lanning, man.
yeah, and I think it's gonna be a hard fought game, and I think towards the end, just talent takes over, and Oregon takes the W.
Oregon's got a phenomenal coaching staff, so we got to give them a shout out. But moving on, Texas A&M versus Florida. This could be a tricky one for the Aggies, but we'll end up seeing what happens here. Who you
All
got,
right, so
Dylan?
we got the Aggies versus the Gators.
I got back-to-back. And I think Florida can have back-to-back good games. I think Marcel Reed will lead this Aggies team to a win.
I'd say the difference between the Aggie offense and the Longhorn offense has pretty wide margin right now. And then now it's really just going to come to the difference. Can this A&M defense stop the Florida offense? I think they do that a little bit better than Texas did this past week. I'm easily gigging them this week.
I'm gonna disagree with you, Kyle. I don't think that the Texas A&M offense is as good as you're making it out to be. I think the defense is phenomenal, but that offense had trouble with Auburn. They had trouble in the first half last week against Mississippi State. This is not an elite offense by any means. I mean, they had trouble scoring against Utah State as well. I don't think Marcel Reed is as good as everybody's hyping him up to be. I think this Florida team is getting slept on heavily in this matchup. I think the spread was like 8.5 points. I'm going to take the Gators. I think DJ Lagway showed something last week that he hasn't shown all season. He showed the ability to have poise, get to his second reads, finding Wilson. I mean, that dude is a dog, absolute dog, true freshman. And they got the running game going, so that offense is going to be humming. And Florida has one of the best defenses in the country. They've slowed down every single team that they played. Miami's worst game this season came against that Florida defense. So I'm going to go with the Gators. I think they pull off the upset this week and give the whole state of Texas some misery.
Yeah, man. I'm going A&M. I think that Marcel Reed takes care of business. I think that Florida, they were knocked down for a while, and then that win last week really, got them trying to get back up. But I just think that Lagway's been too inconsistent. I think that he's looked really good like last week, but he's also looked just as awful as Arch Manning. So I think that the game is going to be close. I think depending on how DJ shows up and how competitive he is will decide how competitive the Florida Gators are with the A&M offense that they're going to be going against. But I think A&M takes it, and I don't know about what Chase is saying, but I think Marcel Reed is. I think he's talented. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think
Look at the
that
accuracy, though, dude. I mean, if you look at the weapons he has surrounding him, like Kyle said, he has probably the best receiving room outside of Ohio State in college football, and his accuracy numbers are poor. I see him miss throws week in, week out. Um, I mean, his completion percentage against Notre Dame was around 50%, and I'm not knocking the guy because he has played well. A&M's 5-0, but I think Florida's defense gives them a lot of trouble. That defensive line is really good. They had some stunts last week against that Texas offense that man, I was like, this D line looks pretty similar to an NFL caliber defensive line. Like they're gonna have some good draft picks off that defensive line. And if that offensive line wins in the trenches like they did last week against Texas, I can see Florida pulling off back-to-back upsets. But moving on to the next game, we're going to start off with Michigan versus Southern Cal. Pretty good quarterback matchup here. Bryce Underwood versus Jordan Mailata. Dylan, who
All
you
right, Bill,
got?
we got Michigan and USC.
I'm going to go Michigan. They have looked a lot better. And the only loss on the season is coming to a very great Oklahoma team. And USC lost to Illinois. And I don't believe in this USC team at all. I think Bryce Underwood is better than a lot of people think he is. And I'm about to go Michigan.
Yeah, I too am gonna have to go Michigan. I think Bryce has looked pretty good this year. Not pretty good. He's looked really good this year, especially for the true freshman title that he has, 5 star. And then stack that on top of the fact that I will never support a Lincoln Riley led team ever again. Smashing Michigan.
I disagree here. I think USC's looked. I mean, they should have won the game against Illinois. They got beat by a walk-off field goal. I think Jaden Mailata has looked really, really good. Bryce Underwood, to his credit, has been playing better week in, week out. But Michigan's just too inconsistent of a team. You don't know what you're going to get week to week. You could get a performance like they had against Oklahoma, or you could get a performance like they had against Nebraska. We don't really know what this Michigan team's true identity is yet, so I'm going to go with the Trojans.
Yeah, I'm going with the Trojans too. I think that, like Chase said, the inconsistency is where I made my pick. I think that, Underwood is young, which obviously that comes with, some speed bumps. And, I think that depending on the Michigan team that shows up, It's really dependent on how this game goes. But I just had to go with USC.
Our last matchup of the week, LSU versus South Carolina. LSU has looked solid this year. South Carolina, this could be a big win for them and Shane Beamer's team. Which way do y'all see this one going?
Right, Dill. Last up, we got LSU versus the Cox.
I think the Gamecocks is very great. I think they're an underrated team, led by Leandre Sellers, but LSU is by far a better team in my opinion. Yes, could this be an upset alert waiting to happen? Of course. I'm going to have to stick with LSU.
Yeah, I mean, it's in college, it's really hard to go into South Carolina and win games with that atmosphere. They have a really good team right now with, like Dylan said, Lenore Sellers. I'm gonna go the Tigers. I'm gonna go the Tigers. I think that team, Garrett Nussmeyer, I'm sorry, has not looked good by any means so far this year. I think he's been one of the biggest disappointments up there with Drew Allard in college football so far, as well as Arch Manning as
Arch
well. Arch
Manning.
Manning, yeah. So I'm gonna go the Tigers here.
I'm gonna go with the Cox, man.
I know Chase loves
I
his
like I said,
Cox.
I love my Cox, man. You know what? I don't like Brian Kelly. There's no question there. I think he's one of the worst personalities in the media. Um, I would never go play for him personally. I do think this LSU team's talented, but like Kyle said, Garrett Nussmeyer has not lived up to the level of play he was at last year. He's missed a lot of throws, been very inaccurate downfield. You know what? It's hard to win in South Carolina, man. So give me the Cox.
Yeah, man, I'm going with LSU. I think that they finally show their potential as a team. I think Nuss finally finds his groove, and I think that they really got to show something. I think they got to really show that they can dominate a team in the SEC, and I think this may be the week for them.
All right, moving on to bets of the week. Byron, because he's still a college athlete. Shout out Byron. Um, can't make his bets of the week, obviously. So I'll start off with mine, and I can read. Kyle, do you want me to read Dylan's as well?
I'll let Dylan do it through the phone. We'll actually so that way we
All
can
right,
let him go. We'll let him make his picks first, real quick.
all right, Dylan.
All right, start off
We'll
with your
start off with you, Dylan.
sorry, he can't
Bets of
hear.
the
I got my
week.
headphones in, but we're gonna start with your dog of the week, Dill.
I'm going to go with the Browns at plus 210. I know it's not a pretty pick against the Steelers, but I think it has great value. The pick has great value. I think Krishan Junkins can easily win them this game. I think their defense isn't as bad, and I just don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. So that's my dog pick of the week, the Browns.
All right. Next up to your bet of the week.
My best bet of the week has to be Jake Ferguson touchdown. I think as long as CD's out, there's going to be that spot open for touchdowns that George Pickens can't give to Dallas Cowboys. And he's looked phenomenal this year. I feel like that's an easy target to look at every week.
All right, and last up before we let you go, your player prop of the week.
You saw the last week of Jalen Waddle easily getting over 100 receiving yards. And I feel like there's no other option other than no other option to pass to other than Jalen Waddle. And so I feel like, and this pick also has great value because it's not his line. It's about 25 yards above his average line. And this has great value it's like a great bang for your buck.
All
All
right,
right, Dylan.
that's good
Thank you very
hits.
much.
Appreciate you,
We're gonna
Dylan.
let you go. Okay.
All right.
All right. Take care, man.
All right, I'm gonna move on to my bets of the week. My dog of the week, Arizona over BYU at plus 2.5. I think Arizona's shown a lot this season as a good football team, and I don't think BYU, after losing Jake Retzloff at the beginning of the season, I don't think BYU is as talented as some of the voters think they are by putting them in the top 25. I think Arizona gets the win here. My bet of the week, I got the Jaguars versus the Seahawks. I think the Jaguars win this game. I think they've showed a lot, and I think they go to 5-1, and I think a lot of people are going to be hammering the Seahawks this week, and so I'm going to take the Jaguars. And then my player prop, A.J. Brown, longest reception over 22 and a half yards. There's been so much talk about A.J. Brown not getting the football. I think they're going to really emphasize in this next week trying to get him involved in some way, shape, or form. And I think when they do get him involved, he'll at least get one reception that's a long reception just due to his caliber of a wide receiver. So I think this one's a pretty safe bet as a player prop. Now moving on to you, Kyle.
See, talk about a safe bet. I had to swap it around because I don't understand how they're underdogs right now. I wish Byron could tune into this and help me out a little bit. Why is UT favored over Oklahoma? What have they shown that Oklahoma has not, even with Michael Hawkins? Even if we're not
Michael Hawkins had 140 yards versus Kent State.
okay, and Arch hasn't really looked good against anybody outside of what was it?
Sam Houston.
Okay, yeah. I think my dog of the week right now is going to be Oklahoma at plus 2.5 against the spread. That should be my easiest bet. My best bet of the week, though, I am going to go with the Colts. I'm taking the Colts minus 6.5 against the Cardinals. Cardinals have I think they're starting to lose it. Wheels are starting to fall off the bus. Colts have looked really good. I think they definitely win by a touchdown. And then my player prop for this week is going to be Bijan Robinson over 105.5 total yards. That's going to be rushing and receiving. He smashed this line in every single game he's played so far this season. Closest one I think was 110, and I don't even think he played that full game. I think that's the easiest bet. I'm taking Bijan right there.
All right, and that's going to move us into our postseason baseball. We'll cover this for a little bit. Obviously, Blue Jays just beat the Yankees tonight, so we got the Blue Jays moving into the ALCS tomorrow. Seattle plays Detroit. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that game's gonna be held on Friday. We got a pretty good pitching matchup there. We got Tarek Skubal going in Game 5, and I think all Tigers fans are feeling really good with Tarek Skubal. I mean, he has 23 strikeouts so far in 2 games, through 14 and 2/3 innings. I'm trying to pull it up right now to see who the Mariners are gonna have pitching. They haven't announced it yet, but it could be anywhere from George Kirby. Is it gonna be Kirby? Yeah, and he pitched really well in that first game of the series. So I think the Tigers are really going to move on here, face the Blue Jays, who have looked incredible. The Blue Jays just finished beating up on the Yankees. None of that had anything to do with the Aaron Judge, though. In that losing in 4 games, Aaron Judge hit 500 this postseason through 7 games. Hit that big home run against the Blue Jays yesterday. I have notoriously been a huge Yankee hater, a big Judge hater, but it was really good to see Judge get his moment last night.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sucks that the Yankees lost, but baseball continues. I think tomorrow the Dodgers play the Phillies again. Yeah, they do. They play at 5:08 our time. So I think the Dodgers get it done. I think the Cubs and the Brewers will be playing um, at
Yeah,
8:08.
we had those games held
And
earlier today. The Phillies, Kyle Schwarber hit 2
yeah,
home runs. JT Realmuto came in and had a home run. All of this was against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has been, since August, I believe, the 4th best pitcher in baseball, behind Paul Skeens and then Jameson Taillon and Dylan Horton for the Cubs. So that's going to be interesting right there. I don't think LA is going to lose 3 games in a row, especially with Glass
No.
now going Game 4.
yeah,
Blake Snell will be ready to go for Game 5. Unfortunately, I like the Phillies going into this series, but 2-0 was just a really big hole.
Dodgers got
It's
it.
a really big hole. And then moving it on to the Cubbies and Brewers again. I don't see that Brewers team losing 3 in a row. How many times did they do that throughout the year? I don't think at all. And this Cubs offense, they had their big breakout, and then they kind of have gone a little bit silent. And that Brewers offense has showed up every single game other than tonight. So it's going to be interesting.
So we're looking at right now, I think we're all pretty consistent. I mean, the Blue Jays are already through. I think we all can agree that the Brewers and the Dodgers are most likely going to go through for that NLCS. Mariners, Detroit, Who do y'all got going through?
Like I said, when you have the best pitcher in baseball on the mound, arguably, Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, 1A, 1B. Tarek Skubal has struggled against the Mariners so far this year. I know he lost both of his regular season starts. He lost game two this series, but that had nothing to do with him. He gave up 2 runs, both of them on home runs to Jorge Polanco. He had 2 in that game. Other than that, the Tigers' offense didn't show up. Tigers' offense did show up today. They put up a lot of runs on the board. I think they're going to go defend their ace. It's going to be out in Seattle. But man, you got to be feeling pretty damn good when you got Tarek Skubal on the mound for Game 5.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm with
I'm
Kyle.
I'm with you, Kyle. I think Detroit goes through. I think Skubal, has been probably the best pitcher in the last 2 seasons in the AL. So I'm gonna go with the Tigers.
Yeah, I got the Tigers also.
So we're looking at then our ALCS and NLCS matchups being the Blue Jays versus the Tigers and the Brewers versus the Dodgers. Who do y'all think ends up making the World Series? I think my picks right now, I'm going to keep it short and simple. Blue Jays have looked phenomenal. Vladdy is looking like the postseason MVP right now if it ended today. So I think the Blue Jays easily make it into the World Series, and then I think the Brewers are going to make it in there too. So I think we're going to get a pretty unique matchup of Blue Jays versus Brewers, teams that we haven't seen in the World Series in a while. So I think we could have a pretty fun World Series. But Byron, what do you think?
I think that I'm with you on the Blue Jays. I think Vladdy looks elite. I mean, he is elite, but I think he's looking elite right now. I think that he I don't know how you can beat the guy. He's insane right now. I think that Detroit, they might put up a fight, but I got the Blue Jays going all the way to the World Series. And honestly, I think payroll, I think talent, I think star power takes over. I think it's going to be Blue Jays Dodgers, and I feel like it's something I've seen so many times in MLB The Show. But I think I got Blue Jays Dodgers in the World Series.
So, when I first was collecting my stats, for my notes for this show today, I was looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. through his first 3 games in the postseason, and I thought I had done something really wrong with my math. So I looked at his slugging percentage, and that was at 1059, not his OPS. That's how many bases he's averaging per at bat, not how many hits. Like that's with the 3 home runs he's hit. First player ever to hit 3 home runs in the first 3 postseason games. 1609 OPS. Dude, that's insane.
He's
That
going
hurts my
off.
brain to look at.
Yeah.
I do think I would be looking at this series between the Tigers and the Blue Jays a little differently if the Tigers would have won, games 2 or game 3 and didn't have to burn through Tarek Skubal for game 5, which now it's looking like in a best of 7 series, he'll only be available once in the middle of the
One time.
series, and maybe if this series gets to 7, which I don't think it does. I think the Blue Jays are just so much better right now. That offense is on fire. Their pitching has looked really good. Their bullpen has looked really good. So Blue Jays all the way for me in the AL. And no, this is kind of hard. I agree with what Byron said. The payroll, the talent. That pitching staff is nasty, man. When you got Tyler Glass now
Filthy.
coming out of the bullpen for some of these games, Yamamoto, Sasaki's the closer. He was supposed to be baseball's next biggest starter, and I still think he has the potential to do it. And the Brewers, man, that offense has looked incredible. Outside of today, I think they scored 3 runs versus the Cubs. That's going to be a really good series. It's going to be, one of the highest payroll team of all time compared to one of the lowest payroll teams in the league right now with Milwaukee. I have my heart's telling me the Brewers. I want to believe the Brewers, but unfortunately, I think the Dodgers make it back for their 5th pennant in the last 8 years.
And yeah, we could see that series going either way. Moving on to NBA preseason, we got a LeBron retirement fake out this week, which was pretty funny.
I didn't.
Turned out to just be an ad, kind of just. I mean, I'm glad he's playing, longer, but let's not use the decision again. Come
Dude,
on,
I didn't like that
we
at
can't
all,
be
man.
doing
I was
that.
rushing to TickPick, StubHub, Game Time, looking for tickets because I'm like, dude, I gotta see LeBron before he retires. I have to go. I have to go. I was about to spend I was about to spend a shitload of money on some tickets, thinking he was gonna retire. You know, My little angels on my side of my shoulders were telling me, just wait, relax, wait. I kept seeing the stuff of it maybe being an ad, and I'm like, I don't believe this, man. I don't believe this.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were about to lose Braun for a second. I've never necessarily been a huge LeBron fan. However, I look at him the same way as I looked at Tom Brady. I hate him because he's great, right? He's always
Yep.
I saw him in the finals eight straight years, nine out of 10 or 11, something like that. I still think Jordan's the better player all time, but man, I was gonna miss LeBron. I was gonna miss, seeing
Yep.
him all over the
100%.
place. I was gonna miss talking crap about him. I was gonna miss praying on his downfall in the playoffs because he is, 1A, 1B, the greatest
Elite.
player of all time. It's fun to have, my entire life, all 20 years, he's been in the league. He's been a star in the league. I wasn't ready to let go of that.
Agreed. Now I'm going to segue us over to who are our Western Conference and Eastern Conference favorites this year. I think it's pretty obvious who the Eastern Conference favorites are just due to injuries. I think New York looks like the best team. The Knicks over there, they're the most complete team. They got pretty close last year to, eventually making it to the finals. They beat the Celtics, couldn't beat the Pacers. I think this year it has to be their year. Jalen Brunson, Carl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart. I mean, that's a really good
Yeah,
team. No way you slice it. Mikael Bridges. I mean, I think that they probably look like the best team over there in the East if Jason Tatum doesn't make a miraculous comeback. And, I think the East is very weak, though, this season.
I think Jason Tatum will be back throughout the postseason, and I do think that Celtics team is good enough throughout the regular season at least to slide their way into the postseason, and that's all that matters is getting in. Once you get in, anything can happen. The Knicks are amazing. I'm probably going to end up picking them, but a sleeper team for me is really Philadelphia. If that team can stay healthy, they can load manage, get in the playoffs with Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Paul George, Joel Embiid. And they selected BJ
It was
Edgecombe
just a
too as well,
dumpster
correct?
fire last year, man. I don't trust that team with those injury prone players. It was an absolute dumpster fire towards the end of the year. Byron, who do you think is going to be your Eastern Conference favorite?
Yeah, I like Philadelphia. I think that if they're healthy, they can be really good. But like you said, they're injury prone, and health is wealth. And right now, health is not on their side. So
No
I'm
question.
gonna go with the Knicks, man. I think, like you said, they're the most complete, and I gotta go with the complete team at the beginning, and things can change over the games. But right now, I gotta go with the Knicks.
I will say one thing. I do have a sleeper pick for the Eastern Conference. I think the Orlando Magic are going to be very
They
good
went
this
and got
season. Um,
it wasn't Jared Jackson, it was Desmond Bain, correct?
yeah, it was Desmond Bain. They paid Desmond Bain a massive contract, probably an overpay, but Desmond Bain was really good in Memphis. Fits that team really well. It gives them some shooting with Wagner and what's his face, Paulo Banchero. I mean, that's a really good team down there. Jonathan Isaac's going to bring some defense. I think this is a really good Magic team. Now moving over to the Western Conference, very loaded. I mean, you could see this going in a multitude of ways. There's some really good teams in the conference. You got the Lakers, LeBron and Luca. That they just picked up DeAndre Ayton. Still got AR-15. That's going to be a solid team. Rockets are absolutely stacked. Thunder will be back. They're stacked again. Um, you know, Clippers will be solid if Kawhi stays healthy. They were pretty good last year. Nuggets, Jokic, we can't count Jokic out, even though they did trade away Michael Porter. I still think the Nuggets are still going to be good. You keep going down that list. Maybe the Pelicans could be good. I don't know. Zion's gotten skinny. Wemby's put on a lot of weight. They both of those teams could potentially be really good. The Mavericks, we'll see what they can put together when Kyrie comes back. It's a very heavy Western Conference, but I think we can all agree here. Houston Rockets are pretty much the favorite. That team is absolutely sick. Even with losing Fred VanVleet, the Rockets look phenomenal.
You won't find a bigger Rockets fan than me. I believed in them even in those years when we had Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. as our backcourt. I believe that team could make the playoffs. I believe they were borderline contenders. Very foolish of me, I know. But I'm not going to be able to discount what the Thunder are doing. They are building a dynasty right before our eyes. And it's hard to repeat in basketball unless you're a dynasty like, the Heat were, like the Spurs were, like I'm blanking, the Warriors were.
Warriors,
Yeah.
Celtics,
It's
Lakers,
very
and
hard to
Bulls. I mean,
repeat.
the Bulls are the premier
Yeah, I
dynasty.
was mainly talking about the dynasties like recently over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to go the Rockets, dude, but the Thunder are just such an easy pick. So Thunder and Knicks, those are my two favorites right now.
Yeah, I'm
Byron,
going
who do you
Thunder
got?
too. Yeah, I'm going Thunder too, man. I think that they're a good team, and you know I just can't go against
The
them.
Rockets are
The
close.
Rockets are
The Rockets are
talented.
close.
Yeah, the Rockets are very talented. I could see it going either way, but right now I just got to stick with what I've seen work, and what I've seen can happen, and I'm gonna go with
And
Thunder.
I know Chase, your opinion on Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I know you don't really love it, all the flops and all that, but the name of the game is to score
Yeah.
points. And if he's
Yeah,
foul baiting, scoring points like that, that's part of the game. And
winning
until the
games.
NBA does something to fix that, we have to consider him the MVP.
Yeah,
Well, I think Luca takes that crown back this season. I think a 50-pound lighter Luca with his skill set will probably take that scoring title and that MVP crown back, but we'll see. So now I got to pose a question for y'all. Who do y'all think has a better season? Wemby's been inconsistent with injuries. Zion's had the same sort of thing. Both extremely hyped up draft picks. They both look like they're in the best shape of their lives. Wemby obviously adding muscle, Zion losing weight. Who do y'all think has a better season this year?
Wimby.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's different. I think this is a coming out party. I think in his third season he finally gets
Yeah,
there. But how
the
about
the
you,
only
Kyle?
thing that was really stopping Wemby from being the probably one of the greatest players of all time was he can get bullied a little bit even with that height. Him putting on weight, putting on muscle, kind of makes him unstoppable. Zion, I think, is gonna have a great season. I'm not trying to discount that whatsoever, but
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama was the chosen one for a reason.
Yep. So lastly, I'll pose the question. I think y'all probably are going to say Shea to this, but who is the face of the league for 25-26? We've got a lot of injuries, a lot of turnover. Who do y'all think the face of the NBA is going to be for this season?
Look, dude, I said it last year. Ahmed Thompson is coming. We saw it in the playoffs last year. That athleticism,
All right, all
dude,
right.
that athleticism.
We're talking best player in the league for 25-26, and you just said Amin
Yes,
Thompson.
yes, because his defense, he's him, Draymond, Dyson Daniels, best defenders in the league, and then on top of that, his offense, his bag.
Walk off sports family. I want y'all to flame this dude in the comments. He just said Amin Thompson is going to be the face of the league for
Dude,
25
you have to
26.
watch. You have to watch. I promise you.
I watch. I'm
He
just saying. Dude, he's not even the best player on his team. He's not even the second best player on his
watch
team.
him this year.
And you think he's going to be the face of
He's
the
jumping
league?
into that point guard role. All his stats are going to go up right then and there. He's starting the entire season, something he didn't do last year. He didn't begin starting until December or January. Dude, Amen Thompson, if he gets a shot down, even just a little bit, the league's in trouble, and he's going to carry this Rockets team very far.
I disagree. I
Um,
don't even think he's the top two player on his team. I think KD is still better than him, and I think Shane is still better than him. So that's an absolutely flaming take. I still think probably going into the season, I think Shea will probably carry the mantle, but I think it's Wemby's crown to lose. I think Wemby has a phenomenal year this year, and I think Luca has a phenomenal year this year, and I think Jokic will continue his dominance. So I think it's between those four players. I think Shea being the NBA MVP last year probably deserves it. Although I thought Jokic deserved the MVP last season. You got to give credit where credit's due. Shea won the NBA championship, won MVP. Not many people do that. He's the face of the league for 25-26.
yeah, I got Shea too. The Thompson thing was. I mean, I've seen Thompson play. He's a very talented young guy, but face of the league is a,
Dude,
a
his
very
bag.
much of a reach.
I
But
need you to just.
It's diabolical, Kyle.
no,
Kyle,
I'm not. I'm not
And then we're
discrediting
talking,
him being a
you
good
know,
player, but he's not the best player in the
I
league.
think when you add his defense right there brings him, all the way into the all-star category, the same way Dyson Daniels does. He could defend anybody from the one to I'd say the four. He's not going to.
Kyle, let me put this in
He's
perspective
not
for
the
you.
best player.
You're gonna put him over the face of the league versus a guy who's been five-time first team All NBA. The first year he missed out on it was last year because he missed 2 months of the regular season. And Luka Doncic, you're gonna put it over an MVP, Finals MVP, NBA champion, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with all the accolades. You're gonna put him over a number one overall pick with Victor Wembanyama, who has put on muscle like we said. And that Spurs team could be very good. And then on top of that, you're gonna put him over three-time MVP. What am I saying? Three-time MVP Nikola Jokic and MVP NBA champion. Then you still got guys got on his team like Kevin Durant could have a phenomenal year next year. So I don't even think you can enter him. He hasn't even been an All Star yet, or did he
He
make
was
it
an
last
All-Star
season?
last year.
Yeah, wasn't he a sub
Yeah.
in for one of the guys who got
Yes.
injured? Yeah, I mean this is a guy who wasn't on
Look,
the original All
I
Star roster
think,
last year. That this is a meteoric rise you're talking about. You're talking about something that
dude, we
nobody
saw it
sees
in the
coming.
playoffs
So
last year.
you know what? If you call it, you look like a genius, and you'll help this channel blow up because this absolute crazy take.
I
But you know
truly
what?
think, I
We'll
truly
see what
think the
happens.
Rockets being at the top of the conference this year, Men Thompson is going to be the starting point guard for the entirety of the season. I think all his stats take a major increase. Ball's going to be in his hands a lot more. Rockets getting rid of Jalen Green, adding Kevin Durant, adding Dorian Finney-Smith, a couple shooters around him. He's going to open up the paint, something where last year, if you watched the Rockets, that paint was clogged. Steven Adams, Şengün, Jalen Green, Amen Thompson. That paint was very clogged. I think Amen's going to be able to get there so much quicker. He's going to be able to run a lot of screens off of, Alperen Şengün, Steven Adams, Clint Capella. I don't know. Y'all got to trust me on this one. That
All
It's a
right,
hot
it's a
take.
just
It's a
trust me,
it's a
bro
hot
take.
take, but I think Amen
It's
Thompson
a
is going to
just
be the
trust me, bro
next
take.
face of the league is going to be Amen Thompson.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about a little bit of soccer. Finally hit the international break. So, United States finally put out a good roster. We've got a lot of guys back in camp that we haven't seen. Weston McKennie returns. Jeddah Robinson returns. Look at we could put out a pretty good lineup for this camp. Chris Richards has looked great for Crystal Palace. Christian Pulisic has been one of the best players in all of Serie A, and I think these are two friendlies that are absolutely must wins for Mauricio Pochettino's team going against Ecuador and Australia, who are two inferior opponents. And these are games that the U.S. should absolutely dominate. Big question is who starts at goalkeeper? Do they keep rolling with Matt Freese? Or are they going to turn and look and maybe give Matt Turner that opportunity to take it back? And will Tim Ream continue to start at center back? These are a lot of questions that we have. Obviously we'll see. I'm excited to see what Malik Tillman does getting in the roster playing with Christian Pulisic. Balogun, I'm excited to see if they actually start Balogun or who we're going to start up top. So then moving on, Gilberto Mora, 16-year-old from Mexico, making absolute waves. He made the Mexico national team this summer for the Gold Cup and started for them. Looked great, but 16 years old, and is absolutely dominated in the U20 World Cup for Mexico. He's got teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid calling. This looks like he could be one of the next great Mexican soccer players. So we'll have to see what happens. Then obviously we're gonna touch on our World Cup 2026 favorites. I think you obviously have to look at the Nations League winners, Portugal as being a potential really large favorite. Cristiano Ronaldo would be a historic way to go out if he was able to win a World Cup. That roster with Nuno Mendes, best left back in the world, Vitinha, João Pedro, Rafael Leao's looked great. Federico Conceição, they've got a great goalkeeper. Ruben Diaz is holding it down at center back. This is a really good roster, and I think Roberto Martinez gets it right. Spain, obviously, with Lamine Yamal, will be something to watch with Nico Williams on the left, Pedri in the midfield. I mean, that is going to be a really talented team made up of a lot of La Liga players. They just got to find somebody who can finish goals up top. Then, obviously, France with Kylian Mbappe, Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele. I mean, that French roster, even though they're not all from France, they're from all different countries over the world. That France roster, the amount of attacking options they have with Desiree Doué as well, Bradley Barcola. I mean, they can turn to anybody up top. And then same with the midfield, absolutely ridiculous with Kevin Thuram and some other guys like that. Rabiot is always going to be in the mix. And then they're going to have a great defense as well with Saliba, and Magnon's going to hold it down at keeper. Then we also have to look at Brazil. Hopefully they can get back on form with Ancelotti as coach. You can never count him out with Vinny Jr. And, hopefully Rodrigo gets his form back. Argentina's going to look good. I could see Argentina making a run. Anytime you've got Lionel Messi in your team, you're going to be good. And, honestly, I got to say, one of my sleeper picks is going to be Germany. I think Germany is going to have a really good World Cup. Florian Wirtz, if he can start rolling for Liverpool, this is a really good Germany team. And lastly, England. They've got talent all over the pitch. Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham. I know, Byron, you know a little bit about Jude Bellingham, so that's your light-skinned brother. I'm kidding. But Jude Bellingham, is gonna be phenomenal when the time comes. I mean, he's coming back from injury. Declan Rice is great in the midfield. Thomas Tuchel is a revered coach. I think this is probably one of England's best chances with Harry Kane starting up top. Harry Kane has been arguably the best player in world soccer right now. So that moves us on to the different tables across all the league. As we can see, the Premier League, Arsenal are in first place right now. Little shocking, Liverpool has dropped off over the last 2 weeks, losing 3 in a row. They do play Manchester United coming out of the international break, so we'll see what happens there. Surprising, Tottenham, with new coach Thomas Frank, is third in the Premier League. And Bournemouth, shout out U.S. Tyler Adams. Bournemouth's played really good. Man City's going to follow them. Crystal Palace, shout out another U.S. player. Chris Richards absolutely dominating. Chelsea's looked solid this year. Big win over Liverpool last week. Shout out to Esteval. Manchester United holding strong there at 10th place. We'll see what can happen. Nottingham Forest, though, from finishing the top half of the league last year to being almost in the relegation zone with new coach Ange Postecoglou. We'll see what happens there. La Liga, really always going to be a two-team race between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Real Madrid's looking great. Finally got Jude Bellingham back. They're firing on all cylinders. Hopefully Dean Huijsen isn't out for a long time. Barcelona has missed Lamine Yamal for periods. Just had a big loss this last weekend, 4-1. But Marcus Rashford's looked everything as advertised. A little bit shocking, Atletico Madrid has fallen so far. And Athletic Bilbao sitting in 8th place with Nico Williams. So we'll see what happens there. Bundesliga, Bayern Munich are already running away with this. Harry Kane looked great. Even without Musiala not being there, Bayern Munich has looked absolutely disgusting. This is they're running away with the league. There's no competition now that Bayer Leverkusen has lost all their players and the issues they had with Ten Hag earlier in the season. Michael Olise, another French player that's just absolutely disgusting. So technically talented on the ball. They're very strong defensively, great goalkeepers. So Bayern Munich's running away. Then in Serie A, we've got kind of a cluster at the top. Roma's looked great this year. Napoli, Kevin De Bruyne. Rasmus Højlund has caught on at Napoli, caught flames. Scott McTominay still played great. Then with Milan, Christian Pulisic has been one of the best players in the world this season, putting up high levels of goal contributions. They've got a great attack. They've got Nkunku. Santiago Jimenez will probably show some more in the next couple weeks. I expect Inter to play a little bit better as the season goes on. They're looking a little bit better. And then Juventus is obviously going to be in the hunt as well. They're really, really good. And shout out to Como with Cesc Fabregas at manager. Nico Paz has looked really good for them, and that's another name to watch for the future. And then in Ligue 1, PSG does have a loss, but they're so much more talented than everybody else. PSG, even with the amount of injuries that they've had up top, still a fantastic soccer team. So,
Chase, I
moving on
gotta
to other
say, dude,
teams.
I love the Spanish accent. I love how it comes out with the soccer.
Yeah, bro,
It's beautiful,
you
man.
know,
It's beautiful. I'll touch into
appreciate
the
it.
NHL real quick. I'm kind of new into my fandom. Houston doesn't have a team, so I'm going for them.
Obviously, you're not going to be a big fan without a
Yeah,
Houston sports
it's
team,
been
but
hard, but over the games that I have watched, I like them Vegas Golden Knights, man. I don't know what it is.
oh, me too. That's a fun team to
I,
watch.
you know,
I'm a casual, but
I know, yeah, I know.
We're all
We're
casuals here,
casuals when
but
it comes to that. The same way I gotta say, all of us except for Chase are casuals when it comes to soccer. We will learn. We will get better.
yeah,
This is our first time hearing about soccer, Byron. Isn't that correct?
yeah. This is all those
And I,
names,
I will,
all
I will
that.
definitely do my part in, learning a little bit
Yeah,
more.
got to do some more
But them,
research into
them
that.
Florida Panthers, defending champs. Winning in the thriller right there against the Chicago
Yep.
Blackhawks. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna butcher this name, but don't worry, I'm gonna learn, y'all hockey fans. Jesper Bokvist scored the go-ahead goal to make it 3-2. Chicago was playing with an empty net to end that game. It was for the first game of the season. Every time I watch hockey, I get more and more intrigued by it. How fun of a sport it
Yep.
is, dude. There's a lot of action. I mean, going back to last year, all that United States versus Canada stuff. Really,
It was great,
it led into the Stanley Cup playoff, which I was actually I enjoyed watching. It was fun to watch. So I'm
hmm
very excited to get into hockey this season, learn a little bit more about it, learn a little bit more about our Vegas Golden Knights. No,
Yep. Our
is that
Vegas
the
Golden Knights,
walk
our
off sports
team.
media team of the year?
Yeah, we
Vegas
all got
Golden
to get a
Knights.
We
flag,
do.
We do got to get a
Golden Knights
flag.
flag.
Vegas A. Golden Knights
We're
fans,
declaring our
even if
feet.
the Golden Knights social media teams are watching, send us merch. We would love to be the number one
Yeah,
podcast for the
we're
Golden
declaring
Knights.
our fandom for the Vegas
Yes.
Golden Knights right now.
Yeah, we are. But I will touch on one more thing. Edmonton Oilers just signed Connor McDavid to an extension. See if they can actually get it done this year. They've gotten close the last two seasons. With Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, that's a really good team. Hopefully, they can finally get over the hump, and Canada can finally bring hockey back. Because man, it's just a curse right now in Canada. I'd like to see the Dallas Stars do a little something when they have a really good roster year in year out. So we'll see what happens. Lastly, we're going to touch on UFC 320. It's a pretty interesting matchup. Not Andreas Pereira. Alex Pereira dominates, wins in 90 seconds over
90
Anakylov.
seconds, you said?
I think, yeah,
So
90 seconds.
first round KO.
Anakylov did
Oh wow.
enter with a, yeah, Anakylov did enter with a pretty significant foot injury, but Alex Pereira has just proven himself as the
Yeah, no
GOAT. I
doubt. I
mean, this
mean,
is,
I've always
Yeah.
been a little bit more of a boxing person rather than UFC, and first round knockouts you don't see that unless it's like
vicious. It's hard to
yeah. So
see.
I mean, that right there,
hmm
that's crazy to hear.
And then, in the other title fight, we did have Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. Um, Merab
You said that last name one more time.
Divashvili. I,
It's that
I
soccer
butchered
coming
that,
out of
but
him,
No,
man.
that was way better. No, that was way better than what I
Oh,
would have tried.
absolutely, me
all
too.
right. But anyways, we'll go with Merab. Merab won convincingly, unanimous decision. But I would say, listening to what Corey Sandhagen had following the fight, he felt like that was a fight he could have won. Just missed a lot of opportunities throughout the fight. Sugar Sean O'Malley comes out after the fight and is talking mess, saying that he thinks he's the only person who can beat Merab. So I think that's probably a future fight. We'll see what Dana White ends up doing, putting him on the card. But I think that could be a pretty good fight, Merab versus Sugar Sean. But that's going to be it for Walk Off Sports Media's podcast, episode 1. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Check into our social medias. We have TikTok, Instagram, X. We're going to work on maybe getting a Snapchat profile going as well. And then share, share, share. We want to comment, like, subscribe, and share. We want to connect with all of you guys as much as possible. And for the next coming weeks, we're going to try to grow this as much as we can. We're looking at bringing on some pretty cool guests here in the future, maybe even an NFL players. So we'll see what happens there. I know we do have some college basketball. We're going to have a college basketball coach on here as well as a player. We're going to have a few former college football players. So we're going to bring some pretty exciting guests on here. So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to
Golden Knights
starting this
fans.
journey. And Byron, Kyle, y'all want to leave us with anything?
Man, just subscribe, follow, like, just interact with the video. That really goes a long way. The research that goes into this, the editing that goes into this, the scripting that goes into this, really is just a lot of work. And you know, we very very much appreciate a follows, like, subscribe.
Yeah, man. All I gotta say is, like Kyle said, Chase puts a lot of effort into this. Kyle puts a lot of effort into this. I'm new, so I show up when I can. when schedule allows it and everything like that. But share, like, comment, subscribe, anything helps, honestly. Tell your friends, if anybody's ever talking about how bored they are, tell them about the podcast. It's something you can listen to on your way to work, on your way to school, on your way
Driving in the
home.
car.
Yeah, you can listen to it on a
Restroom
run,
breaks, I know. It's gonna take a lot of trust and all that to finally build up to get those toilet break time, but I think we'll make it. We'll make
Yeah,
it
but
there.
yeah, anything helps. Like Kyle said, it's a lot of effort to put this in. So, you guys and leave any feedback on anything that we can,
Of
improve
course,
on,
do
anything
better.
y'all want
I
to
would love
hear.
to see what y'all have
If
to
there's
say about
any,
my Amen Thompson take. Any of our takes, really. Leave a comment. Just let us know what you think, and we'll get to it.
yeah, yeah, if there's any
Well,
lower level in
mhm.
college games that y'all want us to cover, if there
Group
we
of
got
five
any Sam,
schools,
yeah, we got any Sam Houston fans, let us know, and we'll try to cater to
Bryce
everybody's wants and
fans.
needs.
I
Yeah,
mean, any
I mean, if
any
we got
lower
any
level
Texas Southern
schools.
fans in the
Ooh.
comments.
We can cover the swag now. We can cover the
Yeah,
swag.
any swag baseball fans, I got a lot of information on that, but yeah, man, just like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Well, all y'all for listening. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch y'all next week. Thank you.